Sorry, I don't know if you saw that. I don't think you can see it, but Victor just blocked a specific term in my chat, and I saw the like mod message popped up, and it like nearly made me spit out the water I was drinking. You'll find out what the term is if you try to use it, I suppose. It's like, did anyone remember the like Nickelodeon game show Figure It Out, where if they said the like wrong word, they would get slimed? That's kind of this, except it's just you won't be able to post the message instead of getting slimed. That would be kind of difficult. It's not Kiddy Kong. Dude, if he bans the word Kremling in my chat, no one can talk. Why is this song just not playing at all? What the hell? Okay, this playlist is busted. Something is wrong with my Donkey Kong Country 3 music. I don't know what the deal is. Diver figured it out! Diver, you win, okay? Diver found it. But he's not allowed to tell anyone else what it is. That's the thing. That's the trick. I guess he could hint at it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is, I have this playlist of the OC Remix DKC3 album queued up, but I didn't download it because I tried to download it and it was all like, you want to use this complicated like torrent thing? And I was like, no. So I'm just gonna play it from the website, like the SoundCloud, and I hope that works out well enough, and if it doesn't, we'll figure something else out. But yeah, the blockage was directly related to Traveler showing up, so anyway, I hope this isn't like too ear-blastingly loud. Let's see. Gonna start here. Ah, it comes from this mixer thing. There we go. Turn that down. Okay, I think that should be fine. It's the OC Remix Donkey Kong Country 3 album called Double the Trouble, which I actually did not already have downloaded, so we're streaming it from the OC Remix SoundCloud. Turn it down just a bit more. Okay, hopefully that's fine. That's cool, Dustin. I've actually not listened to this one. I think I listened to it like back when it first came out, but I haven't really listened to it just on my own since, so I'm not as familiar with it. I'm not as familiar with all the songs that have lyrics in them, so I know when to skip them, but I know a few of these songs because I downloaded them like individually, but okay. We are going to pull up the Nintendo Powers now. I like this song. I like this song already. There we go. I'm adjusting the size a little bit. Oh, it's already... Okay. I thought I was gonna have to, like, put the preview up on my stream. It's already there. That's crazy. Alright. It actually remembered the window that I wanted it to show. Amazing. Wow. Alright. So, how's it going today, everybody, before we get started? Today we're going to be looking at Nintendo Powers talking about Donkey Kong Country 3 from its, reveal to its release, and honestly, there's seems to be quite a bit of coverage of this game, so hopefully we have a full good stream out of it, but if I feel like we need a little more, we can also look at the player's guide. And in my experience, the player's guide and the full Nintendo Power walkthrough coverage seems to have a little bit of overlap anyway. If we don't get to the player's guide today, I don't really know when we're going to get to it, because we don't have much else about DKC3 to go on to cover. There's no comics about it really. There's no novelization, so once we're done with this in the player's guide, we gotta jump right into Land 3, because there's not a ton of supplementary materials to go through. I do have a plan. I have a plan for a fun stream to do after we've played both Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Land 3, but it's gonna make more sense to do that after we're done with the whole, I guess, Northern Kremisphere arc. I actually have a couple of fun stream ideas that are going to make more sense to do after we played both of those games, so we'll have to wait, but... Yeah, this was the last country for a long time before it returned. Is the music too loud, by the way? How's the music balance? It's not like overpowering me or anything. Yeah, there's no more we'll see, there was no nipples in this game, so they didn't have any need to illustrate comics about it, you know, there was no nipples to watch, so... No, now we're in the checkpoint universe, god damn it. So today I have this banana water. I got this from my friend, and it's because he brought some drinks to this like bar trivia that we were doing, which I could have told him this beforehand, but you know, he brought them anyway, and then like some guy came over to our table and was like, oh, we don't allow outside drinks here. Like, I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest. It's a bar. I mean, you can bring food in, but you probably can't bring drinks in, right? Because they're trying to sell you the drinks that they have. So at the end, he just like let me take this home. He's like, you want this banana water? So yeah, he didn't just expressly give me the banana water, because he's like, here, you Donkey Kong loving deviant, I know you love yourself some banana water. I just kind of ended up with it. We'll see how it is. It's very appropriate though. If this tastes like amazing and banana water becomes like the only thing I drink for the rest of my life. Not gonna lie, that's like really good. Alright, I'm now you know, I love coconut water, but it's expensive, and this is probably very expensive too. But now I have no choice but to drink nothing but banana water. This is true. I'm gonna make my King of Rot branded rotten banana rum or whatever the fuck. You know, Andre, now I don't want it anymore. It's also blue. It's like blueberry banana water, so that's like Lanky's piss specifically. Mmm. Lanky piss. Delicious. On that note, I'm going to look at this Nintendo Power here. Okay, so this is issue 86. And what we have here is previews of, a bunch of N64 stuff. Like, if you were to just look... Okay, first of all, having Diddy is like... Well, I guess they might talk about Land 2 in this issue. I don't think I had this from before, so I don't think they do. Diddy's... I don't think they talk about... maybe they talk about Diddy Kong Racing in this one, I don't know. We'll see what's in here. But this is mostly N64 games. And if you were to just look at this cover... Look at Kirby, by the way. Yeah, look at Kirby! If you were to just look at this cover, you would probably think, oh, Dixie Kong's gonna be on the N64 or something, but that's not true. It's got a little mix of, like, Super Nintendo stuff and N64 stuff in here, and Kirby is really... He's out of his gourd down there. I'm surprised they didn't turn him into American Kirby, though, and give him, like, the inky eyebrows. He's just a very lit... Yeah, Kirby's about to get, like, isekai'd. Okay. I don't need to look at all of this random stuff. But we'll take a look at the, letter section. Oh man, we've got a little bit of the, Baby Mario is so annoying, the classic, you know. Before we had Navi for everyone to complain about, everyone was complaining about how annoying Baby Mario was from Yoshi's Island, and he is annoying. Like, I'm a defender of a lot of those characters everybody says is, like, super annoying, but Baby Mario is annoying, when he gets separated from Yoshi. This song is a banger, but it's a little loud. I've never played Diddy Kong Racing DS, so I couldn't tell you, but I think the N64 version is the, you know, real experience, because they had to take some of the characters out in the DS version and replace them. So, like, because it doesn't have, like, Banjo or Conker in it, right? They replaced them with Tiny and Dixie, which, you know, always happy to see Tiny and Dixie, but I don't mind if Conker's not there, personally, but you gotta have Banjo, like, come on. Look at this cool Yoshi, by the way. this cool Yoshi over here on the right who, Yoshi's Island is what's written on the thing, but this Yoshi looks like he's like some YouTuber's persona about to like talk about how cool Yoshi games are. This is a cool, I really like this Exor one here. Neo Squid, some Neo Squid representation. That's fair, Exalt, but I don't know, I feel like it being such a rare crossover is a really important part of the game. Even though it probably makes more sense from a Donkey Kong series perspective to have Tiny and Dixie. Nintendo has forgotten about Yoshi. Hold on, let me read that. Zowie for Zelda. Yeah, there's Zowie for Zelda and there's also Zonkers for Zelda. Through the years, one of my favorite series of games has been The Legend of Zelda. I love The Link to the Past the most. I would like to suggest that Nintendo of America take the first two games that were released on the NES and re-release them on one game pack for the Super NES. This was done for the Super Mario games and Super Mario All-Stars. Secondly, I think a sequel to A Link to the Past for the Super NES might be nice. I'd also like to compliment the re-release of A Link to the Past, especially at the low price of $34.99. Shigeru Miyamoto is a genius! I will be in anticipation of a new addition to the Zelda series. What's up? Yeah, okay. Okay, I know. Sorry. Victor moment. Alright. Okay, so we have, this is the second E3, right? So we looked at the coverage of the first E3, which was when they announced Donkey Kong Country 2. And that's in that Nintendo Power that I actually own. Very, very cool issue. It's got the big, like, Donkey Kong Land cover art, but it also goes into the very first E3. So this is the second E3 that took place in 1996. And, you can see they were showing off some N64 games here. There's Miyamoto, look at him, he's so enthusiastic. By the way, my N64 controller, you can just barely see it on the floor back there. But, yo, speaking of someone who's cool and got attitude, look at that Mario there. Forgot that Miyamoto used to be younger. Pilot wings. Yo, look at all of these announced N64 games. Tetrasphere is misspelled, shaking my dang head. Freak Boy? The hell is that? What did that become? Did that get canceled? I don't think I've heard of that one. Alright, here we go. Now, don't forget about the Super Nintendo, because we have these two. Speaking of Freak Boys, we got Cup and Cloud over here to make sure you don't forget about the goddamn Super Nintendo, okay? Yeah, it's like Freak Boy and he's also a virgin. Like, come on, man, lay off him. Anyway, the Super NES keeps on rolling. With all the talk about Nintendo 64 games, you may think that the world lost sight of the Super NES. Not so! In fact, several of the Nintendo's 16-bit games were the best in their category. Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning runs of the competing 32-bit baseball games down to the minor leagues, and Tetris Attack was the standout puzzle game of the show. Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie's Double Trouble introduced a funky new Kong character. Okay, you can't just say it's a funky new Kong character when there's already a Kong named Funky Kong. And I don't know if I would call Kitty Funky. I know he was hanging out with Funky, so like maybe Funky rubbed off on him because like Funky was babysitting him. He might be funky because, like, his diaper needs to be changed and he smells bad. The virgin Freak Boy. Hi, Jero. Anyway, so Kitty, our first mention of Kitty is in Nintendo Power is that Kitty is funky. You know, I don't know, maybe they're trying to pass off some kind of Kitty and Funky are related conspiracy theory. I mean, Andre, they kind of went into making this game knowing that was going to be the case, right? Like, Heil talks about this all the time, but like, even by the time Donkey Kong Country, the first one, was coming out, like, people knew that Nintendo was working on their next thing in their, like, full 3D console, right? So, Rare went into this whole endeavor knowing that it was going to be something to sort of be the send-off of the Super Nintendo, and it was going to, if they kept making these games, it was going to overlap with the N64's release, so I guess it's kind of like, you know, it was expected. Freak Boy was a puzzle game? Okay. Yeah, like, I don't know. People are so mean to Kiddy Kong, but, I think that Dixie had a fun time hanging out with him, for the most part, probably. You know, and, she's a good babysitter, but I also think that they had a good time together. It's not like she was being tortured the whole time that they were together, and she's just like, ugh, I would so much rather be with Diddy right now. Like, I'm sure that's true, but I think you know, they made the most of their time together. If you look at these renders, they're always having fun, they're using their teamwork, you know, Kongs are just like that, you know, Kongs, that's what's special about the Kong family, the Kong clan, the Kong group. They seem to always, you know, be able to work together when put together with whatever grouping of Kongs you get. They'll make it work, you know. But anyway, pushing Rare's ACM graphics even further than DKC2. I didn't mean to do the 6-7 thing. I was just like, is that true? I don't know, like, I always think the reflections of the mountains and the hills and stuff on the water is, like, really cool looking. I wouldn't say if the game overall looks better than DKC2. It's, like, a matter of preference, I guess. It has about as much detail, I would say. Maybe a little more detail in some of the, like, shops and stuff. But I'm not saying it makes it less tragic, necessarily, but, like, they knew, I guess, what they were sort of getting into with it. But, you know, I think, personally, so DKC3 is a lot more experimental than Donkey Kong Country or even Donkey Kong Country 2 when it comes to, like, I don't know, the gimmicks they used in the levels and the overworld and all that. And, like, I think the fact that, you know, the N64 was already coming out, I think that might have allowed them to get a little more creative with it. Like, the pressure was off. They didn't have to rely on, like, Nintendo being like, this game needs to sell a bajillion copies because we gotta beat Sega. Like, you know, the pressure was off them because the N64 was a hot new thing, so they're like, we can just experiment and sort of be a little more unique with this game and do what we want with it. So, I think to that, it was to the game's... You can call it benefit if you like DKC3, or you can call it detriment if you don't like DKC3, but, you know, it worked out that way. I do feel like Kitty would grow up to be bigger than Chunky. In the same way that Tiny grows up to be bigger than Dixie. Because, like, look, he's so big and he's a baby, you know? That child is destined for giantsness. I like this song, sorry, this is called Pure Water Pressure. What? Hold on. It tried to block Dustin's message just now, and that wasn't an auto mod thing, I don't think. If Victor's out here trying to block K Lumsy as well, I'm gonna divorce him, but I don't know what it was, because it said that was just like smart modding auto detection, so I don't know what the problem with that message was. The rendered graphics of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars also shined, but it was the mix of adventure and action in this game that made it one of the most involving on the show floor. Kirby Superstar rounded out the fall lineup for Nintendo, featuring a total of 9 games and 32 megabit game packs. I forget this Kirby Superstar was such a late game, too. Like, that's... very late Super Nintendo game, I guess. Look at Yoshi's, whatever this Tetris Yoshi game thing is. I forget what it's called. But I really like the like art and the sprites for it, because it's got Shy Guys. It's got a Shy Guy riding Raphael the Raven. That's great. That's what I was saying last time about, like, K. Rool's life is just a series of him setting himself up for failure, and, like, his defeats, in large part, ultimately come down to not only his own defeats, but the other unfortunate, tragic things that he causes to happen to his entire people are kind of set up by him in advance, and like, are due to his own hubris and the mistakes and the bad relationships he's made and everything like that. So it's a really, like, I don't know, he's such a great villain, you know? Like, he basically made an enemy out of his own brother, question mark? Out of a giant Kremling, just because he told him to, like, you know, go destroy an island, and he could have just left well enough alone, you know? Yeah. What? Oh, shut up! Get out of here! Get out of here! Dude, the telemarketer who keeps calling me about playing acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, he's graduated to now knocking at my door. He's now become one of those, like, door-to-door, like, religious evangelists. Except, telling me to play Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, Andre, I was wondering if it was, like, something like that. I don't know, maybe it's Lumsy. Is Lumsy some kind of, some kind of bad word I don't know about? So, that's very good, Exalt. That would probably be even funnier if I knew more about Final Fantasy XIV, but, you know. Alright. They really wanted to advertise this game with Cuff and Cloud. Okay, first of all, their legs, like, look at the size of their legs. Their legs are like literal sticks that somehow, they got like normal sized feet, but then their legs are somehow supporting the rest of their bodies, and they are, I gotta say, okay, they got one thing going for them, which is that, I was talking to Jeff about this the other day, but a lot of the Country 3 Kremlings do not have, like, visible teeth, which is weird, because they're supposed to be crocodiles, right? But, like, even if they got their mouth open, hanging open, you can't see any teeth in there. It's like, where'd their teeth go? Why are they so gummy? Does living in the Northern Kremisphere make your teeth fall out because of all the pollution from the factories or something? So at least these guys have, like, fangs, you know? They've got some teeth. I will give that to them. You know, I will be doing that on my break. I'm just gonna type Lumsy into Google, see if any of my own art pops up. Also, these two do have the K. Rool eye going on. I like that they have different eye colors, so you can tell that they're different. That's like the only difference that they have. And in the sprites, obviously, you wouldn't be able to, I don't think you can see the difference in their eye colors, but I like that detail, you know? Alright. So we did actually look at this, I think, actually we didn't look at this last time, because I just got this issue. I didn't have it downloaded before, so we do have a little bit of preview of Donkey Kong Land 2 here, but I don't want to think about that game anymore. We're past that. It's done. They don't really, like, talk about it too much either, I guess, besides just, like, it exists. So there you go. There's some... Alright, the pink one is back. There he is. Dude, I don't know why, but this image of Kirby, like, walking through the door over there on the right is funny to me. It just reminds me of the, like, Hotel Mario memes where Mario and Luigi are just, like, walking through the gate. I feel like this would be a good meme image of Kirby. He's just like, I'm out. See ya. Tetris Attack, that's what this game is called. Man, I've never played this game, but the art in it is so good. I think I might have played it, like, once at, like, a GDQ or something, but... I felt a little silly calling it a Tetris game, because it's not really a Tetris game, right? It's like Panel de Pon or something, but I knew it was called Tetris something anyway. Water Worlds for the Game Boy. God, they had Water World for the Super NES, the Virtual Boy. Did the Virtual Boy one ever come out? I don't remember. And the Game Boy. Like, goddamn. Water World was getting around. The main character of this game looks like a Togetic. Okay. Pilot Wings 64. We might not have much about Donkey Kong Country 3 for the rest of this issue, but I'm just gonna scroll through. We can see. I can see that, Reiji. I mean, it was probably just a marketing thing that all puzzle games were Tetris, you know? Oh man, going fishing. I think I don't know, I might have played the N64 version of this game, but I don't know if that's the same thing or if it's just another fishing game that I played. At any rate, I've played like 2 N64 fishing games. Yo! Holy Crocomole's back! I'm so glad to see that phrase being used again. But they're telling you how to get all it's the coin cheat, the good one, the good stuff. I can't believe, Nintendo Power is just out here posting their credit card information. Oh, these are all of the Super Nintendo games that are cheaper now. Ooh. Okay. Just, I doubt we get more, Donkey Kong Country 3 stuff in this, but I'm just gonna scroll through the rest of it real quick. The Brainies. This is like a Oscar. It's just another game that I've never heard of in my life. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of these guys. I don't like them. I don't like the Brainies. I don't like their, hyper-realistic feet with only 3 toes, but like hyper-realistic toenails. I'm not gonna look at them anymore. Get out of here. Oh, so this Beat the Boss section, we did have like the Captain K Rool strats already in a previous issue. Okay, wait a second. Wait a second. There was more. I'm glad I didn't close this issue already, because there was more. We got the Brothers Bear. We have the most important thing we could possibly have. Yeah, it's not Oscar, it's Oscar. You gotta put the, you know, like, technically Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, has a exclamation mark at the end of the title. See? So when you say it, you have to be excited. You have to be like, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble! But when you say Oscar, you have to just say Oscar. Barnacle's good. My favorite's still Blue, but you know. Barnacle's top tier. Oscar is some like random-ass Super Nintendo game I had never heard of in my life about a kid who, very similar to Gex, goes through a bunch of different movie genres, I guess. So it was the original Gex-like, I guess. Gex ripped off Oscar. So, help comes in many forms in the world of Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie's Double Trouble, which should have an exclamation mark. Dixie's Double Trouble! One of the best forms of help may be found embodied in the 13 Brothers Bear, who live in cabins situated throughout the world maps and submaps. Each burly bro, alright. Yeah. This person who wrote this was into some burly bears, you know what I'm saying? They require your special attention. Okay, this guy was into burly bears who guy or girl, or whoever wrote this was into the burly bears who require your special attention. I appreciate it. So some of those bears be looking kind of nice. For instance, one bear named Baffle loves a bamboozling puzzle, or a very sad bear named Blue needs cheering up. It's my favorite. Rare plans to include lots of diversions in the third DKC game, making the play even more varied and rich than in DKC2. We'll have more as this game reaches completion. I'm glad they just have like this random section back here. Like, here's some stuff. Here's the Brothers Bear. I don't know. You can get colorful controllers. This special Brothers Bear update. We can't let you close this issue without knowing about the Brothers Bear. It isn't the Burly Blowjob Brothers. One bear named Boomer. Yep, and there we go. Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie's Double Trouble. And I don't think that, you know, I don't think Donkey Kong Land 2 had come out yet. Yeah, it's down there at the bottom. So, Bonanza has those, like, balloons that you have to punch that, like, raise parts of the landscape that have, like, bear paws on them, which is kind of weird, because, like, why? What does that have to do with bears specifically? And it references the Northern Kremisphere, but I don't think there were any, like, specific references to the Brothers Bear. I might be forgetting something, because the game is full of references, but, like, maybe something Quiztone says or something. But I can't think of anything right now. Maybe we'll get some trophies of a couple of them, but which two would it be? It's so hard to pick. I haven't seen that, Carol, I don't think. Yeah, just, have, like, 13 statues you have to earn across the you know, instead of just like the 2, or, you know, replace all the chip stacks with other statues and there's just like 13 that you get as you go on. Get all of them. I mean, it'd be pretty easy to make those statues, I guess. You just have to make the basic render of the Brothers Bear for the modern day, and then you just like change what clothes they're wearing and stuff, because they all essentially look the same. You know, different fur colors sometimes, give them a beard, whatever. Anyway, that was cool. I'm glad that we got that. Fun, fun, fun! That's right. Alright, on to the next issue we have, which is issue 87. So this one has Donkey Kong Land 2 stuff in it that we looked at last time, and it might have Country 3. It gets so, like, confusing having to go back and forth talking about these as, like, Land 2, Country 3. But it might have DKC3 stuff in it, I don't remember. We'll just kind of scroll through it real fast. Oh, this is the Oscar issue! He's back! Donkey Kong Bearnanza. Yeah, they're saving all the bears for the next game. Maybe we'll go to like the other side of the earth and see what different layers are down on that part, and you know, there's like a whole bear layer. It might have, Reiji. It might have been the same fonts. I love like recognizing fonts. Sometimes I see a font and I'm like, okay, this is also the font that's used for this other thing. Yeah, like, the art for Tetris Attack is so good. Like, the sprite work in it and just all of the associated art. Because they took the same, like, you know, Yoshi's Island art style, which is already fantastic. And they, you know, spread it. And they made different assets out of that, too. So, it took me a while to, like, really realize as a kid who did play Yoshi's Island growing up and then later played Paper Mario, how much, like, the art style of Yoshi's Island influenced the art style of Paper Mario, like, specifically. Like, the way the Koopas are drawn and just, like, you know, the Yoshi's other characters and stuff. It's very Yoshi's Island influenced. Alright, we've already looked at some stuff in this issue, so I'm gonna skip past a little bit. See, look at all this stuff. I like that Bowser a lot, too. There he is! There's our boy. Oscar. Yeah, the boos, it's really unfortunate that they did change the boos in modern Paper Mario games to look different. I like, the only thing that, I mean, not the only thing, but like the main characters looking a little different has survived throughout the whole Paper Mario series. Like, Paper Mario has his very distinctive look that has been unchanged, and like even Bowser gets to keep his like big old snout that's kind of a relic of the N64 era, but like unfortunately they did kind of retcon or change some of the enemies to no longer be so unique looking. It makes me sad. Yeah, maybe this is what Spectre got up to before becoming a villain. Yeah, these are Detolfs from IKEA. Very good for storing your collectibles and stuff. Alright. The old Kirb. Oh yeah, this image of Kirby and a Waddle Doo holding hands. I remember that. Yeah, there. You can look at this font again. It does look like a Pac-Man font. I feel like there's probably not any... They skipped DKC3 for this issue because they didn't have any new Brothers Bear updates to share about it. See, what they should have done is they should have highlighted a different Brothers Bear in every single issue until the game came out, but unfortunately they missed their chance. Oh yeah, here's the one I was talking about earlier. So I guess that was technically not in a previous issue, that was in the next issue. Okay, we got one little blurb back here at the back, once again, like the Brothers Bear update, so, you know, it was worth opening this one again. I'll just make an Oscar emote. I'll just take that image of Oscar. I'll be the only person on Twitch, probably, to have an Oscar emote. I bet there's like an Oscar speedrunner out there, though. Someone probably has one. Alright, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie's Double Trouble. First of all, it's Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, and it has an exclamation mark at the end. Like, get it right, Nintendo Power. I thought, what happened to your journalistic integrity? We just can't help ourselves from taking more looks at DKC3. Yeah, it has all those burly bears in it. The future may belong to the N64, but for the present, the 64-bit Kong and video game systems will have to share the throne with Super NES and Rare's remarkable ACM action games. I was a little confused what they meant by the 64-bit Kong for a minute, because I was like, you know, they haven't talked about DK64 yet at all, but they're calling the N64 the Kong of video game systems, because obviously Kongs are the best, so, you know, it's just that big, it's just that good. I like that they, I guess they put a underscore at the end of this Oscar link to replicate the period. You know, this is not a very active game, it looks like. There's no 100% runs? Dude, I could get in there. I could just play a 100% run of Oscar and I could be on the board. Yeah, it was literally just, you know, before we played DKC3 when we were looking at this particular issue, so... Also, Oscar is like some kind of hedgehog creature. I don't know, but like he's some kind of animal, and when you look at the box art of the game you could tell, but when you just looked at the art that it had here, he just looks like some kind of weird ass kid. Like, you can't, I don't know. He's like, I guess they were trying to go for a Sonic thing, but this might be a lyrics song. I mean, okay, I guess he has like a weird nose, but he still looks like he could just be like a weird stylized human. But when you look at the box art, it's more obvious he's supposed to be some kind of like critter, you know? Turquoise would play Oscar, and they should just like videotape the whole thing and then submit it to speedrun.com. And there you go. You'd be on the board. On the box art, Oscar's nose is black, so it's more obvious that he's like an animal. But here it just looks like he could be a kid that like got punched in the face or has a cold or something. Yeah, that's neat. The Virtual Boy, like 30 years in the future, those are coming back around, you know? Well, if you submitted a 100% run, you would be on the top of the board because there aren't any. But if you can beat the game faster than 13 minutes and 10 seconds, then you would be the top of the ending percent as well. I don't want to have another, like, Beauty and the Beast situation on my hands, though. I'm not going to start speedrunning a questionable game again. Alright. Next issue. Can Oscar be an honorary Kremling? Like, so we... just replace the C with the K? I don't know. Yeah, that's what happened, you know, years ago, I was the world record holder of an obscure game that no one else really run. There was, like, one other person. And, after I got into it, a bunch of other people decided they wanted to get better at it. Yeah, I'm being, like, pretty harsh on Oscar, but, like, maybe it's really good. The period was... They just didn't know how to market it, you know? It just had a bad name. Nobody got excited about it because of the period. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but, you know... This song is a major banger. And yes, this is the OCR Donkey Kong Country 3 album. I'm just streaming it off their SoundCloud right now. This song is called, Don't Drink the Water. Yeah, you don't want to drink the water. You'll get the red eye that's infecting everybody up there in the Northern Kremisphere. Get the K-Rool eye, it's contagious. Alright, so this coach who loves to frickin' stick his ass out. The coach is doing the Among Us, but you know, he's back in this issue as well. Now, we do have coverage of Donkey Kong Land 2, so we did look at this one already, but we do have more previews of Country 3, alright? So I promise this one will be worth our time. Yeah. You know, they should have put out, like, different versions of the game with different, you know, different punctuation at the end of it. I was forgetting the word punctuation. And it would have been like an experiment and see which one sells the most. Like, in an exclamation mark versus a question mark, which one attracts more attention? Like a social experiment. Yeah, some people like to just play a game pretty much more or less casually and just, like, submit it to speedrun, even though it's not, like, a speedrun. They just want to be on the speedrun.com board. And you know what? I respect that. I don't have the, If my time was, like, 2 hours slower than whatever the fastest one was, I would not put it on there. But if they want to do that, more power to them, you know? Yeah, Oscar ... Oscar with the, like, interrobang, the one that's like a question mark with the exclamation mark at the same time. We did take a look at this art before. Sorry, I have to skip the lyrics. Toss away all your preconceptions about fun. The first truly interactive 3D video game is here. I like this N64 blueprint over here. And we have some technical alpha blending. Yo, trilinear MIP map interpolation. What was the Diddy Kong pointing one? It was like trilinear something. It wasn't MIP map though. It did not involve Mips the rabbit. It was something else. It was trilinear something interpolation. Yeah, it's bitmap, not to be confused with mipmap, which is something different. There we go. That's what I thought it was, but I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not like a technical wizard over here. Yo, Turok. Where's the dang DKC3 part? It's further on. Realm. Kirby Superstar got a lot of features. Makes sense because there's so much in that game, you know? Or collection of games. There we go. There's the frickin' good stuff right here. Alright, we made it. Just a shirt that says, where's the dang DKC3 part? And it should have this render of Kiddy Kong on it, like underneath that. Just the Kiddy Kong just standing there render. Alright. Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Alright, we got the full logo, we got the full correct title with the exclamation mark, as it should be. Dixie takes center stage in Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. This is a little difficult to read. And once again, she proves that it's not how many bits you have, it's how well the game plays. The new banana. DKC3 cranks the Kong series up another notch on the game post. Dixie returns with her full complement of simian superpowers. Yo, Dixie's like a superhero now. I guess being able to fly with your hair is like not normal. While new second banana Kiddy Kong will be able to break through floors and roll along the ground like a barrel. Together with several enhanced team abilities, these new features will open up all sorts of exciting and unpredictable gameplay possibilities. Poor Kiddy Kong's arm has been ripped in half, and the default bear, which bear is this that just is completely naked? Which of the bears is this one? He got his arm ripped off. Helpers and Hangouts. No DKC adventure would be complete without a large supporting cast, and this installment won't disappoint. Funky, Swanky, and Cranky Kong will be on hand to help our hairy heroes, as will a Mystery Kong clan member. Wait, did they not have Wrinkly confirmed for the game yet? Was the mystery just Wrinkly? They like didn't know who the last one would be, and at the end they were just like, Wrinkly. Oh wait, look at Swanky! Look at the original placeholder, like, Swanky sprite of just his original design. Oh my goodness. So, at this point, it's weird to me that if they wouldn't have had Wrinkly confirmed at this point yet. Or they were, like, keeping her a secret. Like, no spoilers, but you're gonna love the secret Kong we have planned for this game. You're not gonna believe it. It's Wrinkly. Because I feel like they would have started making her fairly early, considering she has, like, a different design. And she has, like, her whole save cave, and she has multiple songs associated with her and, like, poses and things that she's doing, so you think Wrinkly would have been a pretty early, like, guaranteed inclusion, but maybe not. Wrinkly was pretty last minute. Yeah, he's wearing his, DKC... This is just his DKC2 sprite. Like, they just plopped him down in there instead of, giving him his new render and stuff yet. Yeah, Wrinkly was the big secret of this game. Forget the true final boss. Like, they didn't want... They wanted people to play the game and find out about Wrinkly. Morning, Yellow Pikachu. We're learning the deep Swanky and Wrinkly lore right now. Returning animal buddies on guard, Squawks and Squitter will be joined by an as-yet unnamed elephant and bird. Man, this is... When did this issue come out? September? The game was coming out, like, next... 2 months from now. They had not named Ellie yet by the time they sent this info over to Nintendo Power. And possibly Wrinkly was not yet confirmed for the game. But, yeah, they, you know, to be fair, it didn't take them too long to name Ellie, I guess, when it came time to, like, oh man, we really need to come up with a name for this elephant. Like, we're running out of time here. It's like, well, I got a great idea. Ellie. Yeah, Blunder has the bow tie, right? So I guess all you gotta do is take the bow tie off, and his neck kind of looks like a little weird, like he maybe normally wears a bow tie and just isn't wearing it right now. A woman cave. She does have a gamer woman cave, though. Like, Wrinkly is exactly the type of grandma that I want to be someday, except for the fact where she just, like, dies after playing Super Mario 64. Everybody loves Wrinkly's woman cave, especially Cranky. But, you know, unfortunately she is now a ghost. New shops and stopovers will be manned by a troop of helpful bear brothers. Dixie and Kitty won't want for friends when they need them. And then what we're all here for... what we're all here for is the crock full of crims. And what would the Kong clan do without crooked Kremlings to battle? That's what I said when Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze came out. Since a DKC game without enemies would be no game at all. The Kremlings will be fielding a squad of seasoned veterans and formidable rookies in their quest to be the best of the bad. New enemies include Krim robots, Krim twins, several new undersea irritants, and bird baddies that you can use as platforms. Was that a thing? Oh, yeah, swoopies. I was just imagining the birds are flying and you can, like, jump off of them, which... But yeah, the swoopies that embed themselves in the wall. Bigger and better. We've only seen an early prototype, so we can't confirm the exact plot. Oh boy. Yeah, because you don't want to spoil people on the plot of this game. And some elements may change. We do know, however, that there will be new bonus games, new vehicles, and more secret areas than in any previous DKC adventure. We'll bring you complete coverage in a future issue. The DKC3 design team has said that the major bad guys will be buffed up mentally as well as physically. Yo, have you seen Eric's, like, he works out at the library. Have you seen his Giga Brain, you know? All of the bosses you fight in DKC3, you may not know this, but they're all geniuses, especially Belcha. With better AI, some enemies will track you closely during battle and respond more directly to your actions. Okay, they also said the same thing during Donkey Kong Country 2, and I guess aside from, like, King Zing following you around. I guess here you get that with, like the little things, the little shell guys that Barbos shoots out. I don't know. It's just because, Andre, for some reason I almost wanted to call it Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze, and I had to, like, stop myself from saying that. Well, you may think that, but Belcha is apparently mentally buffed up. Also, if you look at these two guys, are they brothers? I don't know. They're hugging each other, and whatever they are, whatever relation these two have to each other, I'm glad that they're so close, you know. Anyway, it's break time. I will be back. Enjoy this spread of pages. I will see you in a few minutes. Yeah, I'm just imagining, like, Plankton when he's like, I went to college! That's like all the bosses in DKC3 after you defeat them. They just yell that as they're flying off the screen. Hang on, let me... They do, yeah, they got the big old chin. Anyway, I didn't realize this was a little cut off at the edges so you couldn't see this, but I do have a reveal for you, which is that, these two are on, hold on a sec. They're on page 69. They got that little 69 behind them, so, you know. I really need to know the relation of these two to each other. Maybe I don't need to know, actually. Hey, Dreamer. Alright, well that's all we get. It's just a 2-page spread. They were really pushing Cuff and Clout, though, like, I don't know why. They were really particularly proud of those two, even though they're, like, probably my least favorite Kremlings that exist. But, they're like, check these guys out. And you know what? These two don't even appear in the game at all until you get to, like, the Lost World. They're not in anywhere else except for Krematoa, so they're not even, like, man, imagine buying this game just because you saw these two guys in the previews, like, god damn, I'm really into them, and then you don't, like, where are they? Where are they in this game, you know? Yeah, you know what? I'm sure they have their fans out there. At least they have Coin. Look, they got Coin all over the place here, too. Coin is like the, he's like the bullet point guy. Like, whenever they've got a new title, a new, like, point to get to, it's like they just use Coin there as if he was a little bullet point thing. Coin is one of the good ones, though. We love Coin here. Yeah, well, that's how their render is. It's kind of interesting. It's like the DK coin is just imprinted onto their, like, garbage can lid that they're using or whatever. But if you defeat them, somehow it becomes a real one. It just pops out of there. Yeah, Coin is... I love... Coin's a good one, for sure. The bucket head works for Coin. It does not work for Clump, though. That, you know, he was trying to go for the same style in Barrel Blast. Yeah, that Emerald Rush event is called Clout Chasing. Alright, and then here is the parts that we looked at before. So at this point, the Nintendo 64 is out, and, you know, we are getting reviews of Super Mario 64, which even then, they were complaining about the camera. It's hard, you know. That's one of the things when people go back to N64 games, people are always going to complain about the camera and old platformers and stuff. Like, I imagine that must have been extremely, extremely difficult for developers to figure out how to, like, balance that back in the day, and there was probably no real good solution. I shouldn't be drinking my water or my banana water when I look at the chat. Nintendo's N64, by the way. Nintendo's Nintendo 64. There's Kirby's Air Ride. There it is. Beloved N64 game. I think we looked at this last time, but the penguin frosted mini wheats. I guess that's kind of clever because it's frosted, so you know, the penguins on the box. Yeah, but then I'd have to like clean my keyboard and my tablet up, and then I'd have to like take a break from the stream because I spat all over everything. Alright, so this was issue 88. We're gonna look at issue 89. Change the system, by the way. Alright. Explosive fighting game blowout. Yeah, I was wondering what the heck the R meant. Imagine like an alternate universe where instead of putting 64 on all the N64 games, it was like R. Man, I love... Well, you can't say DKR instead of DK64, because that's Diddy Kong Racing, so that would have just been very confusing. Super Mario R. I've seen this Pilot Wings art in person. I think I saw, yeah, quite a few of these in person at that exhibit that I posted about before. That's alright. The N64 does come with an AV switch. Thank you, Mario. See, we goofed. In Volume 88, we told you that your N64 would not come packaged with an AV cable for connecting to your TV. Well, we take that back. Now, even those of you who don't own a Super NES and the AV cable that came with it will be able to hook up hassle-free. Thank you. Thank you, Mario, for confirming as well. Nickelodeon Spot the Dot instant win game. If you... Did this end up happening? 10 people were supposed to get a walk-on role on the hit Nickelodeon series, The Secret World of Alex Mack. By the way, I did not watch this show. I don't know anything about this show. I don't believe I saw, like, a single episode of whatever this show is. You know, I watched the live-action, some of the Nick shows back in the day, like the game shows. We had... You know, like Keenan and Kel and Pete and Pete. I watched those. I have never seen a single episode of The Secret World of Alex Mack. I don't even know what that show is about. But I guess 10 people back in 1996 or 1997 got to be on the show. Now, I did watch Hey Arnold and Kablam and Keenan and Kel. I did not watch the Webulous World of Dr. Seuss. That was a little bit... I would have been... Well, I don't know. I was like 5. So you'd think I would have. That would have been like the time for it, but I didn't. I don't know. Kablam is great. Kablam... Like, you know... Haven't watched it in a long time, but I still remember, like, a lot about it. She can melt into a puddle like a Capri Sun pack. What the heck? That was very 90s, I guess. It's appropriate. I liked Pete and Pete. I don't remember very much about it, though. But I remember liking it. I really liked Keenan and Kel, though. I like Dr. Seuss, the books, you know. People have told me that my art style kind of reminds them of Dr. Seuss sometimes. But you know, like... I think my favorite Dr. Seuss related thing is the original, like, How the Grinch Stole Christmas animated movie. That's, like, my favorite Christmas movie. It's great. You know, the music, the animation. It's peak. Alright, Wave Race 64, big Victor Core game. Yeah. Not the Jim Carrey one. We have another Star Wars comic here. Alright, here's the good stuff. Adventures in Babies. What is this? What? Okay, I guess they just have these, like, circles to highlight things. Oh, we got the, okay, we'll get to that guy in a minute. So we have these like random circles, but it's like they were gonna put like another thing here and forgot to do it. So on the left side, we just have like a circle, like on Kitty's butt. Like, why? Yeah, exactly. There's like one Wave Race song that he didn't make, but he made most of them. Got the Seuss sauce. Alright, so when while Nintendo's Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble is still being designed, and it comes out the next month, by the way, but they're still working on it. They're still deciding if they want to put Wrinkly in this game or not. We're tantalizing your taste buds with tidbits. Ooh, that's a fun sentence right there. Of exclusive information on a few of the game's coolest and creepiest creatures, and a sneak peek at the stage and level features. The basic story is that Dixie and her baby cousin Kitty. So, you know, I guess it was only the TV commercials where they were trying to pass Kitty off as this real cool, rebel, wild child, because here they were just like, yeah, he's just a baby. He's Babby. They're not hiding anything about it. The basic story is that Dixie and her baby cousin Kitty are trying to catch up with Diddy and Donkey Kong, but a Kremling robot named KAOS is trying to capture all of them. Damn that robot who definitely just built himself and came out of nowhere. This 32 megabit battery-backed game has so much detail that we don't have enough pages to cover it all here, but you can count on more tips and strategies in the future issues of Nintendo Power. Little tiny baby man. Not the same old jungle. Okay, so this guy, this robot here, you're probably thinking, what the fuck is this? This is Carbine replaced them, so the guys that would be shooting out the Cheeto Puffs at you that were eventually replaced with cute little owls that may or may not be robots themselves, but I guess they thought this guy, I don't know, he looks like he would be more at home in Killer Instinct or something. It doesn't really fit the vibe that they were going for, even for a kind of weirder game like this, so they replaced him. This is the original Carbine, though. This is like the Mr. X of Donkey Kong Country 3, I guess, but he's less cool. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I feel like the Brothers Bear and like Banjo have similar design sensibilities, but I think they were designed by, you know, different people because Steve Mails didn't work on this game, really, but he helped out a little bit, so I don't know to what degree he might have influenced the design of the Brothers Bear, but, you know, that they got like similar vibes going on, but, I mean, one thing Banjo does have is he has naked paws and feet, whereas these guys don't. So, Banjo is even weirder. Kong Country has changed quite a bit since your last adventure. Well, that's because it's a different place, but you know. Swanky has a new game and Funky is earning extra bananas at a boat rental shop. But what's up with the bears running around? They're not running around, actually. They're sitting in their... first of all, this is where they live. Also, they're all just in their shops. The bear necessities. Ha. Business is hardly bearish for the bear family living on the islands around Kong Country. Shop there. So we basically, like... I feel like a lot of the, maybe, like, plot... I don't know if I'd say plot, but, like, the details, I guess, of this game seem to have been decided kind of last minute. Like, maybe the name of the Northern Kremisphere was not decided on yet, because they don't seem to make any mention of it here. It's just this, like, undisclosed kind of outskirts area, I guess. Yeah, Banjo can do the funky thing where he rolls up his sleeves to get down to business. Shop their stores and listen to their tales. A few give you advice or information while others need help solving a problem. If you assist the bears, they'll help you on your quest. Swanky's tent. Now, we have the new render of Swanky, so they made this in the past month, I guess, and Swanky's ready for business, you know. Step right up and throw a ball. In Swanky's tent, you might win it all. This is the only game in town where you can toss at targets and win bunches of bananas and bear coins. Cranky won't let you take a turn unless you challenge him to a match. When Funky isn't catching a wave, he's hammering away at his summer job repairing watercraft. If you find the parts... I like the implication that Funky has a summer job, like, you know, based on the season, he changes up what he's doing. If you find the parts he needs, Funky will reward you with a new watercraft. You'll find the patch for the hovercraft when you defeat the giant spider Eric in Crimwood Forest. Give Funky the patch and he'll plug up that annoying leak in the side of the boat. It's really convenient that Eric just happened to, like, eat a little boat band-aid at some point. It's just what we needed. The only patch that exists in this entire land. That's why he had to swallow it. Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get Brash in this issue. We definitely need to, he's quite a character. I like the double parry up here. These circles that they're using to highlight enemies remind me of this the streamer ring light that I have right here. You know that, like, GIF that, I don't know, I guess it's from some kind of, like, commercial or something, I don't know what it's from, but, like, it's just Banjo, like, punching the screen. That's what happens after he rolls up his sleeves. You know it's over for you. He's just gonna start coming at you. Yeah, this album is really good. Like, I haven't listened to this one in a really long time, but it's super good. Yeah, there he is, Bleak, to be played by Danny DeVito in the Donkey Kong movie, I'm sure. I'm sure they're in talks with him right now. Besides including your favorite old friends like Cranky, is Cranky really... Well, he's old, but is he our friend? Or is he our favorite? Swanky and Funky Kong, DKC3 introduces a jam-packed jungle of new animal acquaintances with innovative abilities. I like how they don't even mention Wrinkly in that, like, come on, what is she, chopped liver? I know she's right there, but... A job for Kitty Kong. Don't expect Kitty to sit around whining when he's left alone in the jungle. This baby behemoth has no problem crushing Kremlings. They put a K! Oh my god, they skip out on that so much when they have a good opportunity to, like, just use a K there. And they did it this time. I'm so proud of them. Good job, Nintendo Power. No problem crushing Kremlings against his premature primate pictorials. What the fuck? Is he, like, hugging them to death? He's like, come here, Skidda, let me give you a big hug. And he just, like, squeezes them. Aw, it's kind of cute, actually. I mean, I guess he's crushing them against his pacifier. Kitty can also lift Dixie and toss her to high places. If the going gets tough, let Kitty roll up into a ball and clear a patsy into the stage. Yeah, Kitty Kong is giving an interview about the Donkey Kong movie, and he's like, when I was a kid, I loved crushing Kremlings. Then Wrinkly saves the day. Yes, she does. I know that's just a pun on her saving, but we appreciate Wrinkly. She got to help us save the day before dying, and good for her. Okay, so I don't know, he's just a particularly evil and fucked up snowman, so I guess he was like, yeah, I'll work with you, Baron K. Rulenstein. But some people think that Bleak is actually a robot himself, like it's like an artificially constructed robot snowman that Baron K. Rulenstein just made. I don't know. You really gotta, like, invent your own lore for these bosses. We don't have a lot to go on. You know, Andre, I'm tempted to, like, Photoshop, like, a picture of Danny DeVito now and just, like, make him completely white and give him, like, a carrot nose. Like, please don't, I got more important things to do, but, like, I want to do that now. Okay, looking for a place to save your game? Go see Wrinkly Kong. After years of teaching in the Kong Country School District, wow, the KCSD, Wrinkly has finally hung up her ruler. Just like hangs the ruler on the wall, and grabbed her aerobics shoes. If she's not too busy watching workout tapes, she'll gladly save your progress. Or playing the N64. Banana birds. Banana birds are frozen inside hidden crystal caverns throughout the land. Is this gonna be singing? It might just be like vocals, but I'm gonna skip it just in case. Okay. Banana birds are frozen inside hidden crystal caverns throughout the land. If you can reproduce the musical notes of the crystalline melody that echoes through each cave, you'll shatter the spell and release the banana birds. well, there's also the giant barrel, who, you know, yeah, I don't know what it is about, like, Rare, and like, people who worked at Rare clearly had some kind of issue with snowmen, because they just made them the worst. They're always, like, throwing snowballs at you. But yeah, people kind of have the same headcanons about Belcha and Bleak, that they might just be, like, artificial creations similar to KAOS that Baron K. Rulenstein made. You know, maybe they were his first little practice creations before he made KAOS. Ellie is one of 5 animal helpers that can assist Kitty and Dixie during their adventure. Each animal has at least one special ability. Ellie can pick up and throw barrels with her trunk or inhale water and spray foes out of her path. The Army of Chaos! There they are. No diabolical plan would be complete without a bevy of baddies. KAOS has an army of Kremling creeps. It's so weird to, like, you know, read all this and... Okay. So this... Donkey Kong Bonanza spoilers upcoming, okay. This was the original twist. This was the original K. Rool's not in this game. Yes, he is! Twist. That happened all the way back in 1996. You know, in the 3rd mainline Donkey Kong Country game, in K. Rool's 3rd main appearance, his 5th appearance total, I guess. But, I don't know, I'd have to, like, talk to some people who were older than me and who maybe were reading this stuff at the time the game was being promoted and stuff, but, like, I remember being a kid playing this game, you know, having already played Donkey Kong Country, and I guess I was too young to really, like, grasp the concept that there was supposed to be, like, a totally new villain or something, but, like, to me, the question of who would be at the end of this game was not a question for me. Like, I knew he would be there, and he was. But was anyone, like, actually fooled by this, like, back in the day? Like, okay, well, there's no... They have a new villain in this game who's just, like, a fucking robot, I guess, like... And... It's one thing, though, to have something like Bonanza, where... there are no Kremlings. Well, there are Kremlings in the game, but we don't know that for sure. There are no Kremlings in the game till the very end at all. So it's like, yeah, obviously we don't know if K. Rool is going to be in this game because there's no, like, direct evidence for his involvement that we can see. But when you have the whole, like, you know, army society of Kremlings out here, then it feels like much less of a jump to guess that he would be there as well. But, what was I gonna say? It'll come back to me. Well, I'll read the rest of this and hopefully what I was gonna say will come back to me. So... No diabolical plan would be complete without a bevy of baddies. KAOS is an army of Kremling creeps. These fanatical followers will obey any order given by their mechanized master of mayhem! I called this chapter the reign of the MECHA-MANIAC, so that kind of fits in there. Hadn't read this yet. Recoil. We love Recoil. We love Cheeto Tail. Uses his springy tail to launch at unsuspecting apes. Hop on his head while he's grounded. Clasp. You know, not to be confused with Kraka, who we don't know about yet. Clasp hunts for prey on overhead lines. He's a natural predator of apes, birds, and utility workers. Oh no, someone's just working on fixing the power lines and the... Next time your power goes out, you, like, hear the transformer explode or something. It was just because the Clasp was, like, climbing along the power lines. Just blew up. Okay... Crimp is not mentioned here, but he is there, like, in the middle, just drooling on everybody. But there's no description for him. It's just like, who's this guy? I don't know. You figure it out. Guess. Come up with your own name. Bristles can trip up anyone if he gets underfoot. Take him out with a barrel or leap over him. And then Coin, our beloved. Coin's tough armor makes him invulnerable, unless you can find a way to hit him from behind. Yeah, get his ass. Copter, my beloved. Copter dives down on unsuspecting simians, gets some altitude by repeatedly jumping on his head. Nibbla's insatiable appetite drives everyone out of the water. Try tossing him a Kremling snack or two. Just, like, throw the other Kremlings in the water. Yeah, when you defeat Recoil and he just like blah, and he just like falls into the water, and then Nibla just eat. You just see him like, you see the Recoils get eaten alive by the Niblas until they're like nothing but bones, and Dixie is like trying to cover Kitty's eyes so he doesn't see the extreme violence. Would she do that actually, or would Dixie be like, look, this is the way of nature, Kitty. Look upon it and learn. I feel like she would be. It kind of reminds me of that choice in Telltale's The Walking Dead, where you have the choice to, like, as Clementine, like, stay and watch someone's head getting bashed in or not, and it's like that. Like, will you let Kitty see the horrors, or will you protect him? Buzz's Buzzsaw Backblade has a nasty sting. Use a barrel to knock the green buzzes out of the sky. So I started watching the DK Vine Done Slow DKC3 series yesterday because I wanted to see if I could pick up any, like, secret knowledge that Hyle has that I could pass on. I didn't get very far yet, though. And Hyle said he thought that, like, buzzes were... They had, like, some crocodile in them, and I was like, I don't know where you're getting that. I mean, I guess their faces are, like, a little elongated and they're, like, toothy, but they don't have, like, crocodile teeth or anything. I don't know. I don't know where he was getting that one from, but I don't think they have any, like, actual Kremling DNA inserted into them. I think they're just fucking weird-ass cyborg bees. Yeah, that surprised me a lot. Like, there's some good writing in this game from the bears. I mean... I think it's just that this game also does have a lot of humor that does kind of fall flat. But there's good stuff, too. It's about, like, half and half. I don't know. There's some lines that are definitely, like, supposed to be funny, but they're not. But there's some good ones, too. I don't know. That's why it's called War. DKC3 introduces tougher, big-time baddies with better brains. Again, these guys are all... Okay, you take off Bleak's hat, and underneath that, it's just all forehead. Actually, that's why Baron K. Rulenstein also has the forehead extension, because everyone had to be accommodating their bigger brains in this game. Everyone in this game is just... The bosses, at least. It's just a super genius. This is a game about, like, you know... The theme of this game is technology and science and stuff, and all the bosses, you may not know it, but they got an IQ of like 2,000. It's like Alakazam, whose IQ is like 5,000 or something. DKC3 introduces tougher big-time baddies with better brains as well as more brawn innovations that will delight experienced players. While the Kremling leaders in previous games were vulnerable to barrels and bounces on the noggin, you'll have to think up new strategies and find new weapons to use to defeat the varied Vanguards in the Kremling army of chaos. Yo, KAOS? Way to go, KAOS. He's training these guys well. You know, they're more advanced. Fucking K-Rool's out here like some kind of idiot. Just like, I don't know, Crow, you can just throw eggs at him. I don't know. But no, KAOS. Our beloved leader KAOS knows what he's doing. He's got these bosses in tip-top shape, you know? Yeah, you know, Barbos is pink because that's, like, all brain. Like, all of the, like, connective tissue, that's just all brain stuff. Yeah, you know what? To be fair, you know, I just started watching the series, so maybe he changes his mind over the course of it. Like, if he talks to Brash a lot, he's at least gotta give respect to Brash, because Brash is extremely funny. Alright, we got, our Crumple here, who... He's got such a pouty lip. Look at him. Like, See, again, with them not having teeth, and I think it would fix the DKC3 Kremling's designs a lot if you just gave them teeth. They're supposed to be crocodiles. I don't know where their teeth are. This guy's upset about it. He's like, where are my teeth at? I have to use my big brawn to make up for the fact that I have no bite, you know? Yeah, Bleak, has the same energy of the Clay Fighter Snowman, Mr. Frosty, or I think that's what he's called. Yeah, you could imagine that. It's actually way cuter if you imagine that it is as his tongue instead of his lower lip. Like, Crumple, like, I gotta draw a Crumple blep now. Putting that one on the list too. Yeah, the graphic design of like so many of these Nintendo Power articles, like they were just having so much fun back in the day. I really appreciate it. Sometimes it's hard to read against like the background choices that they make. Like, oh, they put a whole render in the background and you can't read the text on top of it really well a lot of the time. But they did a good job here because they put like kind of the faded like white on top of it. Yeah, so like the way they represented the scales in this game also goes kind of far to making these guys seem like mutated weirdos, because it looks less like scales sometimes and more like they're just covered in a series of like warts or boils or something, and it's kind of gross looking. Like I would not want this guy to give me a hug because I feel like I would get covered in some kind of contagious skin rash. Dixie Kong's Double Trouble features 7 vast regions, and if you keep talking to Blunder Bear, he'll spill the beans about a secret lost world. So we're just kind of going level by level here at this point. That's kind of interesting that they are like previewing the levels because the game's not even out yet, and they're just kind of giving you previews of some of these levels, what to expect. Yeah, it goes through the entire, all of them, I guess, but, and they just have like a featured level from each, so I guess we can look at all of these. Yeah, it's, you know, I think it's speedrun-wise, it is faster to go to Mechanos first, but you kind of, Cotton Top Cove, I feel, is overall a little easier, so I always felt like that was the intended one you can do first, but I do think it is cool that they give you the choice in this game. Like, that is a really cool thing about the structure of this game, that there's like a whole 2 worlds you can do in either order. I feel like that was the first time I played a game where it really sort of had that sort of level of choice going on. I know, I guess Super Mario World has, and even stuff like other Mario games has some kind of alternate branching paths, but I wouldn't say it was anything like that extreme as like 2 whole separate worlds you can choose between. I can't believe like Mario Odyssey stole that. And later Donkey Kong Bonanza with the divide and the divide and the other one that I forget. Okay, whatever one, I can only think of it as the pink layer, the one that everybody was like theorizing about before the game came out, but I'm like blanking. The junction, that's what it is. So Lake Orangatanga, the once placid shoreline of Lake Orangatanga. Oh, yeah, I'll read the world description first. Has been invaded by scores of KAOS's crooked Kremling crew. The 6-stage lake resort has a little bit of danger in every terrain, ranging from undersea uncertainties. That's a fun turn of phrase right there. Undersea uncertainties. I love that. To alpine altercations. Yo, me? Man, they were... Okay, sometimes the writers had a lot of fun with this. Not just the graphic designers, but also the writers. I love it. There's so many little, like, cute turns of phrases and stuff. 43% of players chose Mechanos first. Yeah, okay, so, like, the junction has the pink background, and then when they had, like, the Bonanza Direct where they showed more gameplay and cutscenes and stuff, like, there was this whole thing, you know, you end up fighting, like, Void Kong there, and it kind of showed little clips and whatever of what the cutscene would end up being, and there was this whole theory that was, like, when you got to that layer in the game, that's when the shit would hit the wall in the plot, and that's where they would reveal the secret real boss of the game, you know? Because people were like, look, if you look at DK and Pauline in the scene, they're, like, looking up at something, or, like, Void Kong looks like he's really upset, and, like, he might be looking at someone else who's not... So, like, there was this whole thing, and when I got there, when I was actually playing the game, when I got to that layer, I was like, oh no, it's the pink layer! Is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? It didn't happen. But it did happen eventually. An altercation is what you call it, when you stop subbing to me for a while. Either Dixie or Kitty can complete each stage, but you need the talents of both primates to find all the hidden items and bonus levels. Tidal Trouble. Get ready to get wet when you dive into the Lakeside Limbo and Tidal Trouble stages on Lake Now it's Lake Orangutan Go. If you want to find hidden secrets, use Kitty and Dixie's team throw technique on the dilapidated docks. Crimwood Forest. A gurgling river. Yeah, that was the one you could hear when Victor was washing dishes upstairs. A gurgling river runs through the dreary darkness of Crimwood Forest. Brash Bear, let's go! Brash mentioned. Champion River Racer makes his home here. If you actually think you can beat his fantastic it is not fantastic. Test yourself in the Riverside Race stage. Did Brash write this? He probably did. But watch your hairy step. There's a tale or two about a giant spider lurking somewhere in the forest's shadowy glades. So we know that, we have the theory that Klubba wrote one of the, like, the player's guide or something for DKC2. I guess Brash wrote this, because he's really talking himself up, like, oh man, Champion River Racer, with my fantastic time. This is like a dubstep song. Hang in the dusty workshop of Doorstop Dash. Wait a second, this isn't a Crimwood Forest stage, this is just the second level. Hang in the dusty workshop of Doorstop Dash. Workshop of Doorstop Dash. Workshop of Doorstop Dash. A little hard to say. And you'll figure out how to pull down the door control lever suspended from the ceiling. After you grab a lever, you'll have only a short time to run through the door as it slowly closes. Mechanos, the third world. Slime from the heavily industrialized island of Mechanos is polluting the water north of Funky Kong's rental shop. There's been some strange goings-on late at night around the factories and wild tales about low-gravity gases and underground chambers. Could this be where Diddy and Donkey are monkeying around? Yeah, they're getting high off that, low-gravity gas going on. Yeah, DoorDash, stop. Yeah. I wanna see, Brash's, like, speedrun.com account. I wanna see him put his money where his mouth is. I wanna see all his, #1 speedrun times. Use the team throw technique to uncover high and low hidden items throughout the game. If Kitty throws Dixie, she can get to hard-to-reach locations. If Dixie tosses Kitty, you can use his extra layers of baby fat to break through flimsy floors. That's a cute way to put it. Deep-sea dangers. Nearly every area in the game has at least one underwater stage. While apes are good swimmers, they can't paddle faster than the fish. Every school of fish has a pattern, and you can avoid being eaten by diving between the gaps in the fins. I'll just read through the rest of these levels. Treetop Terror, Kremling Forest Management Team working in the Mechanos Island Forest. Notice that Dixie and Diddy were up a tree. Ripsaw Rage is a mad dash against the sinister, serrated edge. Can you escape or will be cut to wood pulp? I like, we get some lore for Ripsaw Rage now. The Kongs were just climbing up a tree looking around like, are Diddy and DK up here? And the Kremlings are like, get him! They bust out the giant saw. You know, getting high was not a deliberate pun about the fact that you can, like, jump really high in that level, but that's good. Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine, like a Brash VTuber, like, you know how they made the Star Fox characters, you can do the game chat and, like, be a Falco VTuber or whatever. I just imagine that for Brash, and then you can get really angry and, like, pound your desk. Pipeline perils. Before their adventure is over, Kitty and Dixie will log more miles of precarious pipeline than any other Kong family member. The toughest part is in the KAOS core plumbing. Where's Mario when you need him? Mario mentioned. Nintendo has not forgotten about Mario. Cotton Top Cove is a lovely series of tiered lakes connected by roaring waterfalls. This region was a popular tourist destination before all the Kremlings showed up and chased everyone away. Look, if the Kremlings showed up, I'm more likely to go there, you know, so there is an audience. With the exception of a bummed-out bear named Blue, the cove is deserted. Perhaps Blue could help you out if you found something to cheer him up. K3. Winters always has an icy grip on the slick summit of K3. This is the hunting ground of Bleak the Snowman. The hunting ground! That's scary. It makes him sound like, I don't know, he's just, like, out there killing people by throwing snowballs at them. And like, devouring. He's like a serial killer. He's the newest Dead by Daylight, like, villain. That's frightening. I don't want to think about that. The most ruthless right-hander to ever chuck a dirty His snowballs are dirty, too? Now I'm just learning way too much. What are they dirty with? I'm learning way too much about Bleak. Watch your step on the slick slopes or you might slide into a bottomless crevasse. Be sure to warm your frozen toes at Blizzard Bear's base camp. Yeah, you just show up at Blizzard's and be like, hey, can I warm my toesies here? And he's like, what the fuck, man? I just want you to take a present to my friend. And you're like, only if you warm my toes up, please, Blizzard. Actual cannibal Bleak the Snowman. Razor Ridge. Like the mountainous K3, Razor Ridge is full of peaks and valleys. The Bear brothers, Vinny and Bjorn, run a chairlift operation here. Bjorn would be happy to give you a ride to the top of the ridge if you found his number 6 wrench for him. His number 6-7 wrench for him. If Barter Bear doesn't have the wrench, you might want to see if it fell into the Alpine Lake in the valley. And then finally, KAOS Core. Unless you believe those silly bears and their rumors about a lost world, KAOS Core is the last area in Donkey Kong Country 3. KAOS, the most menacing mechanical monster ever built. Who built him? I wonder. Has surrounded his secret complex with possibly the roughest primate-proof stretch of jungle, water, and subterranean levels in video game history. Look for more coverage in the months ahead. I don't know what a number 6 wrench is. Like, Victor knows all about tools. He might know. I don't know about wrench numbers. I don't know what makes a number 6 wrench special. I think that's the end of this. Yeah, why isn't he using... Did he lose all 6 of them? Why isn't he using one of his wrenches that he likes better? Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. So, about the whole, like, KAOS is the final boss, there's no K. Rool in this game plot twist. I did bring this up before, but I wanted to bring it up again. That I kind of have a theory that at the end of Donkey Kong Country 2, it was supposed to leave you on a cliffhanger to make you think that K. Rool hadn't survived, that he was dead. And they could have done this in a couple ways. They could have just not shown him sailing. If everything existed as it is currently, and the island is destroyed or whatever, they could have just not had that moment where you see him sailing away on his little boat and laughing or whatever. But, as we do know, Clubba was supposed to be the original, like, secret final boss that you would encounter in Crocodile Core. So if that was the case, possibly the last you would see of Captain K. Rool was when he gets knocked off the island and falls all the way down and gets eaten by sharks, and for all you know, he'd be dead, for real. And then Clubba... There's a lot of theories about, you know, why Clubba would be the final boss, or, like, what his role was, or how his character was different. But if he was the true final boss, then you probably wouldn't see K. Rool again in the game after the first battle. So, I think maybe the original intention was to leave his fate kind of undecided, and maybe he was dead, and maybe they wanted the players to think that, and then if that had been the case, the twist of this game probably would have been, you know, as a story, would have been a lot more impactful, but since we did know he survived and he sailed away anyway, you can probably just kind of guess how this game is going to end. Yeah, this game is not about this stream is not about killer snowmen or wrenches or whatever. So we did look, when we were looking at the DKC2 concept art, there was like a whole plan for how the Clubba battle was supposed to go, and it did have some elements that ended up getting incorporated into the cudgel fight, of course, but it was more complicated than that, as befits like a secret boss in a game. He had like little minions that he was supposed to summon in as well, like, it was pretty complex. But yeah, like, obviously Cudgel was probably just repurposed out of parts of that instead of them both existing at the same time. Kind of makes me wonder who would have been the original, you know what? I mean, that makes me wonder who would have been the original boss of, Kremling of Flavor Town. But I wonder if they were also combined originally, because in Land 2, Crocodile Cauldron and Kremling are the same area. So maybe, like, Crocodile Cauldron wouldn't have had a boss, and then Cleaver would have been at the end of, I don't know, kind of, because, like, Cudgel doesn't exist in Land 2. I just cut him out entirely. But anyway, they did change it so that we knew K. Rool was alive, because they didn't want us to worry about him, you know? There's Miss Pac-Man. I like these, Pac-Man renders here, like, bleh! I did the thing again. Wait, there was Donkey Kong Land? Where? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's the poop tornadoes! Hey, what's up? Yeah? Are there poop tornadoes in acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV? He left. It's Pac-Mom. Anyway. So, where is the second bonus room in level 4-7? First of all, wait a second. Wait a goddamn minute here. I'm glad you caught this, Andre. I'm glad you caught this, because we got some interesting stuff going on here. This hidden bonus room in Oil Drum Slum is one of the most commonly missed areas in Donkey Kong Land. From the second continue point in level 4-7, scamper and climb until you encounter a Clump! Clump mentioned, he is not Clump. It's Crusha, I assume. Clump is not in this game. Donkey Kong Land is a nipple watch failure. It fails the nipple watch test. There are no nips in Donkey Kong Land. So they got the boys mixed up, which is, you know, they are very intimately connected, so I can see that happening, but yeah, I don't know. I guess, you know, people are still playing Donkey Kong Land and are still stumped by, I'm sure this, sorry, distracting music. I'm sure this also took me a while to find. I don't remember what this particular bonus was. This might have been the one that, like, yeah, I remember this one now. You do have to get the TNT, and you have to, like, backtrack, and you have to, like, try to take the Crusha out and then go under. I think I just ended up, like, jumping over him or some bullshit like that, but they're really going all in on the alternate universe, the alternate. I want to play the version of Donkey Kong Land with our boy in it, you know, both of them. So you let Donkey Kong stomp on Clump, and then, not Clump, then run left and pick up the TNT barrel, carry the TNT back. Oh yes, that's why it was so hard, because you not only have to take Clump out, but you have to, like, then get rid of the oil barrel too. And I feel like the Crusha could respawn. I don't know. I just remember this being some hot bullshit. Like, I'm not surprised at all. There was a special tip about this one. The land with no nipples. And then how do I get past the swirlwinds? It's a turbulent zone filled with stone tornadoes and diving bees. Well, you must do your best to avoid the bees. That's good life advice in general. There's a trick to getting around the stone tornadoes. They're not made of stone, that's for sure. I don't know where they got that from, but treat the tornadoes like spinning tops. If you carefully jump up and run on top of the tornado, you can ride them through the stage. Use this technique to navigate hazardous crossings to avoid the buzzing bees. Alright, you know what? Thank you for spotting that. That was, enlightening. We're talking about nipples because this, hot tip for Donkey Kong Land mentions Clump, even though he's not in the game. So they didn't want us to forget about him. Oh, the Donkey Kong Country 3 poster! I would love that. Look at that. Coming soon to your Super NES from Nintendo. The heck is this? Is this a... What is this? This is a... Where can you find moblins, wizrobes, warlike monkeys, heroes named Link, the Energizer Bunny, and Bob Dole all wrapped up in a raucous, rollicking room with few rules and a life force all its own? This riddle has but one answer: Nintendo Power Source on America Online in the Epic Center, where our third interactive adventure... Yeah, so this is like the same thing as Blood of the Chozo, right? They had these like sort of interactive fanfics or something that you could do back in the day on AOL. That's crazy! That's so cool. I would have loved to be a part of something like that. I was a little too young for it. Hi Omi, how's it going? Today's been another fun day of looking at Nintendo Powers. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of shit that I would have been into, but I was 5 years old at the time. And while I did have America Online, I basically only used it to look at, you know, like, the Nickelodeon website. The Cartoon Network website. Yeah, I don't know if this was some kind of, like... The summer's adventure took place in an unexplored corner of Hyrule where shipwrecked people had to start a new home amidst a bunch of very angry monkeys. They had, like, different, like, completely made-up Zelda species and everything. This is nuts. This is so cool. Yeah, if you want to read more about this, I'm not going to go into it here, but if you want to read more about this, like, interactive fanfic, fan-made adventure, you can look at the 1998 October issue of Nintendo Power, issue 89. It's just really neat that, obviously, this kind of stuff existed all over the place back in the day, you know, kind of mutually created. I was a member of many different things of this nature, but it's cool that it was, like, officially endorsed and everything, you know? Like, a big fan roleplay sort of thing like this. Yeah, I love Marty the Wizrobe with his, like, juice. He's, like, got a little, can with the straw in it, like Dixie Kong does. He's drinking his banana juice. Yeah, I think the only thing that was... We learned about Blood of the Chozo from, like, a letter that someone wrote in, but I wonder if they had a big feature on it, like this... Miyamoto speaks! Hello, Miyamoto here. Look at him with his guitar. Wait, this is cute. I'm gonna read this. Last summer, senior editor Leslie Swan went to NCL in Kyoto to work with Nintendo's exclusive EAD group on the English version of Super Mario 64. She wrote the English... There was like an interview with Leslie Swan, I remember, that came out some time ago where she went into more detail on what this was like, working to like localize Super Mario 64 and maybe some other games. But she wrote the English screen text, then had her voice recorded and digitized for the game. She's Princess Toadstool. They asked me to sound sweet, she said. It was a stretch. Her impressions of Mr. Miyamoto: interesting, creative, busy. He's directing several projects at once, and he oversees even the smallest details to make sure that they're right. But as hardworking as he is, he also has a fun, creative side. He likes music and plays in his own band. When it came time to take a break, he'd get out his guitar and play right there in the office. Dude, what was Miyamoto's band called? In NBA Hang Time, apparently you can play as Pigma. This was like the original Star Fox VTuber thing. You could be Pigma in this game. Everybody is gonna be lusting after young Miyamoto after seeing this. Look at him though. He's kind of doing like an Elvis pose too with his legs. God damn. Alright, well we have more Donkey Kong Country 3 coverage to get to. Why are they just now reviewing Donkey Kong 94 in the October 1998 issue? Oh, it's cheaper now. Okay, so they made it cheaper. Before Donkey Kong ever heard of Kremlings, there was a little guy named Mario who made life difficult for the Big Ape. Years later, the arcade game that made DK and Nintendo famous returned as the first Super Game Boy Enhanced title. You know, I was gonna say, I don't necessarily need to read this because it's not relevant, but you know, a Kremling mentioned in the first line, so we have to look at it. Now, as one of the Game Boy Player's Choice Series games, Donkey Kong 94 returns again. The classic construction area stages are just the beginning of the fun. Nintendo has packed in dozens of new areas to baffle fans. Baffle Bear? Along with the greater complexity of the new stages, you'll find greater challenge too. In all, DK has 100 areas to keep you going. So, I guess this is like the enhanced version with new levels. You, yeah, you figured it out. Yo, Blast Core. I'm so bad at that game. That is a rare game that I simply can't get my head around. They do not have a Brothers Bear update in this part this time. I'm so disappointed. But they do want you to know that they are including these cables, but not this one. You can name a star? What the... I don't understand. Were you supposed to be able to, like, name one of the... Well, the game already came out. I don't understand what this name is. Like, you literally name a star in the sky? I know that's, like, a thing that people do. They don't explain this contest very well. Alright, well, next issue we have Donkey Kong Country 3. It's a jungle out there, and only Nintendo Power has the tips and strategies to get you through. Catch the in-depth exclusive DKC3 review in the November issue. And on that note, it's time for another break, so look at this menacing Mario hiding behind the fun. I guess, yeah, you could win, you know, that's like a thing that people, like, I don't know, there's kinds of services out there that's probably like a scam or something, but it's like, you can name a literal star in the sky or whatever. So maybe that's what it was. Am I missing something? I feel like this contest is not very well explained. Oh, hold on, there you go. It's maybe over here. The grand prize winner will receive 100 1/10 ounce American Eagle gold coins, Super Mario 64, and the Nintendo 64 coins. What is the star thing? It doesn't... I don't know. They don't explain it. They would send you a literal star to your house. Like a, you know, it's bigger than the entire Earth, but they will send it to your house. Is this like the last song on this album? This is like so like sleepy times. I do not think it actually is, because this album is huge and it has like 4 discs. It is not at all. Anyway, I will be back in a few minutes. This song is called Wrinkly's Nightcap. I don't think Victor... What the... You know what?
Lives the life that man has forgotten.
I'm just gonna leave it on this.
Struggle against nature, and danger is the only rule. This is the mighty jungle. This is the mighty jungle.
Was the song I missed just that much of a bop, or is everyone just shaking their ass for unrelated reasons? I guess it was the song. That song that was just playing was called The Mighty Jungle. It's like, I guess I have to shake my butt. Okay. Junglol, like Junglol. Alright, it is now time for issue 90. And we have Bleak on this one. Bleak alert, by the way. This guy, okay, he's so important. Even Blizzard is joining in on the snowball fight too. Blizzard was about to be Bleak's next victim until Dixie and Kitty showed up to save the day. He's so important. He was, okay, like I know it was supposed to be a secret and everything, but it is, you know, definitively true that Bleak gets more attention in the promotion of this game than K. Rool does, so what if Bleak is just, maybe he is gonna be in the Donkey Kong movie. Like, if you were doing your historical research on this game to learn what was important about it, it's like, okay. The world really was so cruel and bleak back in the day, you know? I think not even the Snowmads want anything to do with Bleak. They see this guy and they want to leave him alone. Kitty is he eating Donkey Kong Country 3 or is he like barfing it up? I mean, he's a baby, so he probably is doing both. Like he ate the logo and then later he's like pops it back up. Yeah, there was no cruelty in this game, only bleakness. The thing about Kitty that I think freaks a lot of people out is his lip. His lip is so textured. Like they put it took like 5 hours on the old like ACM, you know, Silicon graphics workstations back in the day to render Kitty's lip alone. The only thing I know about Maui Mallard and Cold Shadow is like some of the music, because someone linked me to some of it once when I used to do the like daily gaming discussion. Yo, this is Victor showing up on the doorstep trying to convince me to play Final Fantasy. Wow, we got 10 pages and complete maps. Dixie's in deep trouble, but she's still kidding around. See for yourself. Turn to page 24 for the slickest strategies and most tantalizing tips ever for navigating the Isles of Kong Country. I don't know why they're allergic to saying the Northern Kremisphere. Maybe the new Donkey Kong actually is just Kitty grown up. With this actually... I like how that song, by the way, incorporates the sound effects. would that actually explain all of the timeline issues if the new Donkey Kong was just Kiddy Kong grown up? Killer Instinct the card game? What the hell? Look at this. This is some good art. I like the Mario Toy Story crossover. I have seen some of these in person as well. Look at this little Goomba. This little Goomba down here that someone drew. Kitty's, you know, Kitty's model was so, like, inspirational that I'm surprised the new redesign of Donkey Kong does not have a wrinkly lip like that, you know? That would go so far when he's doing, like, those faces where he's pouting. Like, just imagine the detail on the lip would really make that pop, you know? Yeah. It's nice, you know, like, Rare still does a fan art feature that they like, officially do. They've been doing that for, like, years and years and years. I've been featured by them before, you know, like, a really long time ago. Alright, here we are. It's funky. Join Dixie Kong for a barrel full of Super NES monkey business in Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, DKC3. Dixie must balance babysitting, banana collecting, and bearer bartering as she seeks the missing Kongs. Dixie and Kitty dodge Double Trouble. You'll find a lot that's familiar in DKC3, along with even more that's not. The great play control from the first two games is here, but with all new terrain to exercise it in. There are heaps of new obstacles you can climb on, pick up and throw, break, bop, and barrel through. Of course, several new animal friends have been added, including an entire clan of bears ready to barter bonus baubles. Alright, this person might have been trying a little bit too hard on some of this alliteration. I also like that the bears kind of get classified as honorary animal friends. I mean, they are animals, and they're your friends. They're animal friends whose unique role is only to, like, talk to you or trade you something. Yeah, the writers, I don't know how this compares to, like, other articles, because we're not really reading much else in these, issues, but they're going pretty hard on the clever wordplay and the alliteration in these. I would say even more so than the DKC2 ones we were looking at. In DKC3, you'll have to search the overworld map for secret passages in addition to the ones you'll find in the action levels. Your old pal, Funky Kong, also has a handful of new vehicles and his fleet of rentals that'll help you to fully explore Donkey Kong Country's surrounding islands. It's Swanky's Sideshow. Compete against that champ of chimps, that crusty curmudgeon, Cranky Kong. In a contest of skill and chance, you will bag bananas and bear coins so you can conquer Cranky and his curveball in 3 different challenges. Yeah, reading this out loud is like, it's like a little bit of a tongue twister sometimes. Yeah, your old pal, because you want to... They do try to, like, punch Cranky in the face at the end of the game. Between targets, stay towards the center of the screen. That way you'll be in the best position to toss the next target that pops up. Thank you. Very helpful. The Brothers Bear. You'll bump into the Brothers Bear throughout the mini islands. These bears love to barter and will trade bear coins and other items for a variety of merchandise and services. For a variety of services, you say. Here's just a sample of their wares. Shell, skis, mirror, patch, flower, wrench. Bazaar Bell... No, this one actually is a tongue twister. Bazaar Bear sells seashells by the seashore. Buy the shell here and trade it to a collector later. Okay, I'm not gonna read all these. I don't need to know about every item in this game. We already played it. Kitty can cause chaos and defeat chaos as well. The titanic toddler Kitty Kong can really throw his weight around. His power moves allow him to smash and bash his way through many island obstacles. The Kitty and Dixie team can reach areas that neither could get to alone. There we go. It cracks me up that, like, okay, I guess when Nibbla's in a good mood, they like retract their teeth, you know? Like, just look at the difference in those two renders over there of the fish. It's like, grrr, and then it's like, I'm so happy. Just completely blissed out. Niblo watch. That's true, Funky Kong was a prisoner of war. Sorry, I misread that as Cranky. They try to punch Cranky at the end of the game, not Funky. It would be insane if Nintendo Power made a reference to Donkey Kong Rumble in the Jungle. If they made a reference to Funky's POW arc. I'm gonna turn the music down even just a little bit more. It's kind of crazy. Lake Orangutenga, discovered by some of the first explorers of Donkey Kong Country. It's interesting because, like, you know, when you think of the name Donkey Kong Country, right? Like, I feel like when you think of, like, Donkey Kong's territory, or the Kong territory or whatever, most people are just gonna think, like, Donkey Kong Island. And obviously, what's interesting is that Donkey Kong Country 2 takes place in something that is very definitively not, like, the Kong's homeworld. This is enemy turf. This is as far from, like, the Kong's claimed lands as you could get. I mean, not literally far because it's right next to it, but it's definitively, like, you're in the enemy's zone now. But then, you know, here we kind of bounce back to this as, you know, this is a more, like, friendly ground. It's at least more neutral ground. And the way that they're spinning it, I guess, is this is kind of, you know, part of the greater, like, Kong-controlled regions. And it's interesting because, you know, the way that I view it, and I think the way that a lot of, like, fans have traditionally viewed it is, like, this is bear country. Like, the Northern Kremisphere is where you have these weirdo Kremlings who live here, and the bears, and they kind of, like, exist in this uneasy balance. And the Kongs are kind of here too, but they're not, like, the main people who live here. The Kongs are just kind of, like, either vacationing or visiting, or maybe there's, like, a few of them that live up here, but, I don't know, the way it's portrayed in this coverage is more like the bears are just kind of, like, I don't know, like, the bears are just kind of, like, a fun feature of the world instead of kind of, like, the main guys. I don't know, it's just a little weird. Anyway, Lake Orangutenga was a relatively peaceful area, but that's nothing a horde of Kremlings can't cure. You know, a horde of Kremlings could cure me of a lot of things. The different challenges here will prepare you for the perils ahead. Be sure to use every opportunity to collect and save all the bear coins you can. You'll need them later. It's interesting that the, like, NPC things are in red. It makes them seem more threatening. Like, I feel like they should have made the friendly NPC areas yellow and made the levels in red. Because putting them in the red text like that makes them seem more dangerous. So, you know, once again, we've kind of reached the part where I'm not going to, like, read everything here because we don't need detailed walkthroughs on all of these levels, but I'm just going to kind of scan around and see if I can find interesting things to talk about. That's true. Maybe they just wanted to minimize the red text because it's just harder to read. Yo, it's Belcha. Wait a goddamn second. Okay, first of all, Squeals on Wheels is not here. Squeals on Wheels... So did they swap, like, Murky Mill, right? Is what it's called. That's interesting. I was like, did we skip ahead to the next world already somehow? Yeah, Squeals on Wheels is definitely in Crimwood Forest. Yeah, it's like, how cool looking can you make a giant barrel with teeth? Well, I mean, they did their best. Like, that angle does go pretty hard. I will say that, you know, the boss design in this game, as for how, like, actually fun it is, I think, has been traditionally regarded as a little hit and miss, depending on who you ask, but they do some really clever things. Like, the first boss here, not being a boss that you just, like, jump on their head multiple times, you know, it's like this battle of territory. Like, you have to keep pushing Belcha backwards, and if you fail to throw the things into their mouth correctly, then, you know, Belcha will keep advancing and push you off, and so it's a very, you know, creative boss battle. I think a lot of things in DKC3, though, kind of epitomize this thing where you can get really creative with gameplay or whatever, and you can praise how creative it is, but when it comes right down to it, a lot of people are just going to, like, prefer something a little bit more traditional or less gimmicky or whatever. Like, you can have so many fun ideas, but at the end of the day, people will still say, well, that's cool and all, but I would have rather had a boss that I just jumped on its head 3 times, you know, so that's... It depends on, like, who you want to please, who you want to cater to, and that, what kind of... I don't know. It's kind of the way it is. Like, so many people complain about this game being different than the first 2, and having too many, like, a lot of the gimmicks are really, like, cool and creative, but people will say, like, I wish it was just more basic platforming, you know? Yeah, this came out after the game was released, or concurrently with the game being released in November, so it must have been a last-minute switch if they switched it in the game. And it's kind of interesting, because, like, why would they do that? These are both, like, rat-themed, they're both, like, rat-themed mill levels, so maybe they thought that, like, they wanted to introduce Ellie earlier, because Murky Mill is the first Ellie level, and it really honestly doesn't leave a great impression of her, since the first level with her is just her being scared of mice, and it's pretty annoying. But, you know, since if they originally had that where Squeals on Wheels is, that they would have had, like, 2 Ellie levels right next to each other, basically, or really close to each other. So maybe they wanted to space them out a little bit more. Yeah, and then, you know, like, obviously a really well-done creative gimmick that integrates with... I think the problem people have with this game a lot of the time is that the levels do feel a lot slower. You get something like Doorstop Dash, where you just literally have to hang there and wait for the doors to open, or Squeals on Wheels, you have to make sure you find every single rat in the level and get rid of them before you can progress. So I think a gimmick that really succeeds in a game like Donkey Kong Country is one that integrates with the platforming and allows you to keep moving through the level pretty quickly, which is, I'd say, something that, like, the retro games did really well when they had more creative levels. But at the end of the day, you'll always just have people who prefer things to be kept pretty simple. Crimwood Forest demonstrates more of the diversity of the islands of Donkey Kong Country. They're huge trees. See, yeah, this is all, like... The Northern Kremisphere, like, name is either something that Rare kept close to their chest and, like, didn't just tell Nintendo Power about, or they decided on it at, like, the last minute or something. It's a good pun. But, you know what's interesting is just that name alone would change your perception of this region so much. Like, if you didn't have that name, then this region that they're in, whatever you would want to call it, would just be some, like, idyllic countryside, you know, like, some neighboring area to Donkey Kong Island and where Crocodile Isle used to be. Like, you know, it's close by, and it's this region, and there's bears that live here, but then, like, all of these Kremlings came from who knows where. I don't know, they just invaded from somewhere else. We don't know where these guys lived before. These guys weren't on Crocodile Isle. We didn't see any of these guys anyway. But just giving it the simple name, the Northern Kremisphere, like, implies that these Kremlings are from here. Like, you know, it's their region, and they have lived here along with the bears, so it's kind of interesting if they did make that decision to name it that sort of last minute, and it was sort of just thrown out there. Just that one simple decision can, like, sort of change the fanon or the interpretations around something like that so much. Hey everybody, Courtney here with a little casual insertion. So I was reviewing this video after the stream, and revisiting this section made me have this realization that I actually did not know exactly where the name the Northern Kremisphere even comes from. So I was like, you know, surely it's from the instruction manual, but I looked through it and I don't believe it's mentioned even once. And then I was like, okay, so one of the early NPCs you encounter, like Wrinkly or Funky, mentions it, but I don't think so either. And then I was thinking, well, maybe one of the Brothers Bear says it at some point in the game, but I don't feel like reviewing my entire playthrough right now, and honestly, I don't think that's true either. So all I know is that the only place it is mentioned for sure is here in the music test of the game. And if you don't know, you get to this by doing the same code insertion thing that you would do to get to Mary, and you just type music instead. And then you go down here, all the way down here. There it is. There it is right there. But yeah, this is interesting to me because the name, the Northern Kremisphere, is one of those things that I just feel like I've always known. But when you get right down to it, it's barely mentioned at all in the actual official text, the canon, if you want to call it, which, you know, is comprised of the game and the instruction manual. And, you know, maybe it is more explicitly spelled out in the GBA version, but I have only played that once, and so I don't remember, and we'll get to that in the future. And apparently it is also in the player's guide, which we'll look at next week. But it's one of those things that's just really important to not only me, but the entire fandom. And it was actually kind of just scraped together out of these really bare-bones mentions, and I never really realized that or thought about it until now. It's just one of those things I've always taken for granted, but I guess, you know, I mostly picked it up from being involved with the online fandom of these games, or, you know, listening to the soundtrack from a really young age. So I stand by what I said, the simple act of naming it the Northern Kremisphere makes a huge difference to how you might view this otherwise vague and ill-defined continent, series of islands, whatever you want to call it, and the relationship of the Kremlings to it. So it's interesting how these small choices that kind of seem last minute or an afterthought by the creators can influence your imagination so much. And this is definitely something I want to revisit in a future episode. I have this plan for one at the end of Chapter 3 where we discuss the end of the original Country trilogy and the Land trilogy, and some big picture things involving that, from lore theories to like creative decisions and evolution. So look forward to that, and we can get back to this Northern Kremisphere discussion at that time. Alright, back to the stream recording. Yeah, so they have Murky Mill here. So they did, either they did get mixed up or they swapped it. That's interesting, I wonder. If this was on Rare's end or Nintendo Power's end. But yeah, because if they had had Murky Mill here, then there would have just been like Ellie's intro level, and then another level, and then another Ellie level, so if that was the case, I would see them wanting to like swap those to spread the Animal Buddy focus levels out a little bit better. But honestly, I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me that Murky Mill would have originally been later, because it is kind of advanced in its concept. To have in the first world, it asks you to like be really intricate with how you like dispatch these enemies, and how like sometimes you have to jump on them when they're out of the light. And it's pretty advanced for like something you'd get in the first world, so maybe it wasn't there originally. I would say that Squeals on Wheels, while like technically more complicated, is easier. Like, it's easier to grasp what you're doing in that level. You just like throw the barrels at the rats that are in the wheels and stuff. I don't know, it's interesting. Anyway, so the description of Eric, it says, the huge spider Eric is a tough customer on the outside, but penetrate his defenses and you'll squish him like a bug. The key to beating Eric is to hit him in the jaw with the barrel. This is the easiest to do with Dixie holding the barrel above her head. Just watch out for his claws and for the small blobs of bouncing spider silk that he'll spit at you. I find that interesting because I always just saw them as like, he's spitting his gross snot boogers at you. I mean, it would make more sense, I guess, if he's spitting out the spider, you know, the spider stuff. But why is it green, you know? They could have just made it... I don't know, maybe him spitting out white balls would have also been weird looking, but I don't know. To me as a kid and up till now and forever, they were always just little boogers, and that's gross to me because I don't like snot or nose stuff. That's like one of my biggest squicks. So we'll say it's spider silk, sure. I'll go with that. Arik. So they only have half of the coverage in this one because the next issue we get the other half. You can find out more about the tougher parts of the game are ahead. Duh. You got Mechanos, Cotton Top Cave. The picturesque waterfalls of Cotton Top Cave have been spoiled by the appearance of many grotesque Kremlings. Yeah, they are a little more grotesque in this game, huh? Aren't they? K3, this peak is the haunt of the abominable snowman Bleak. He's ready to pop a giant snowball at any who trespass on his mountain passes. They don't even mention Chaos Core here. You know, more Star Wars comics. I like that they had some kind of Super Mario Kart competition that was, like, based on the regions of the US. Like, they averaged them out, I guess. Yo, West Coast, Best Coast, though. If you are in the, like, Canada, sucks for you. Canada did terribly, look at that. Yo, is that frickin' Scooby-Doo mystery right there? Hell yeah, it is. It tells you how to do the credits, work straight to the credits. That was the original speedrun of that game, by the way, and then eventually, at some point, someone decided to be anti-fun and remove that category. Technically the true 80% of the game is just, like, inputting the password that takes you to the credits. I love the credits where they were all dressed up in their, like, funny little old-timey photo booth costumes. Frantic Flea! That's an Oscar core game right there. It's an Oscar-like. Not the Brainies again. Yeah, speaking of Star Wars. Whoa! This is like how many coins the bad guys give you in Super Mario 64. That's cool. That'll really help you with, like, you know, collecting coins in some of these levels. This is so intricate. Oh man, this Wave Race poster, Victor would love this. Look, this is sick. Look at how aesthetic this is. Oh my gosh, Wonder Project J2. Maui Mallard. Okay, here we go, the Killer Instinct card game, by the way. I was curious about this. Did this happen? Was this like a real thing that came out? It's not just collectible cards, it's like a whole... It is a whole card game with the whole system and everything. I'm gonna have to consult some other Rare fans to see if this was an actual thing that happened instead of just something that was planned. Yeah, I've never heard of this existing. Now, granted, I am not a fighting game person. I've never played a single Killer Instinct game in my life, so I That's a part of Rare history I know very little about, but it's neat. Wiz, come on now. They're just making games up at these points. Some of these games never existed. They just threw in some red herrings into these old issues. I know the whole like white rabbit or magician rabbit or thing is just a cliche, but for some reason when I see this rabbit it reminds me specifically of the one from Chameleon Twist. Alright, so we've got our little review of Donkey Kong Country 3 here. The Donkey Kong dynasty continues. What can we say? DKC3 looks and plays better than 32-bit games with 100 times the memory. In the third installment of our ongoing Simian saga, Dixie is joined by young Kiddy Kong for mayhem and Kremling crunching. They used the K again! Good job, everybody! Good job. Pat yourself on the back, Nintendo Power. Dixie's cool abilities, such as her patented ponytail spin, make her the most versatile Kong ever. Kitty, spelled... By the way, Kitty's spelled wrong here, but that's okay. Adds a powerful throwing arm and a big bottom. No, come on, man. The only big bottom I want to hear about is K. Rool's giant ass that the strategy guide pointed out for DKC2, which is useful for smashing through things. Players can take on the game in 3 modes: 1-player, 2-player cooperative, or 2-player competitive. This month, Nintendo Power begins strategic coverage of the biggest Super NES game ever. Stunning graphics, more variety than the first 2 DKC games, 48 regular stages, 7 secret stages, and dozens of bonus areas, 3 game save files. But the cons, no Donkey or Diddy. Yeah, there's Magic Boy, but alas, Freak Boy never ended up happening. Maybe Freak Boy evolved into Magic Boy. The Virgin Freak Boy and the Chad Magic Boy. Yo, win your own NBA Hang Time arcade game. That'd be cool. We have this. We have the Super Mario 64 Player's Guide, because of course we do. Yeah, this was really like a... This was just the peak of graphic design back in the day. Like, gaming magazines. They were having fun with it. Alright, we got one more issue, which is the finale of the Donkey Kong Country 3 coverage, which is issue 91. Oh yeah, I was looking at this page earlier. It's the bazooka. Here, can we just I got myself scrolling now. There we go. All the way back to the beginning. I think there was like a little bit of coverage of Land 2 in this one as well, maybe, because I remember looking at this one before. They really liked this render of Mario with the bob-omb. They used it twice. This one's really cute. So we've already kind of scrolled this one in the past, so... Yeah, I remember, because it's a Chewbacca with a buzz cut. Alright, here we go. Just making sure that we were still on the DKC3 album. It is indeed. How many songs are on this? It's like a ton. Alright. Here we are. This is Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble Part 2. So, you know, putting the real double in the trouble. Dixie and Kitty roll into some chaotic monkey business in the second half of Nintendo Power's exclusive review of Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble with the Super NES. Whew! Quite a sentence there. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was confused. I was like, why is this song in here? But it's because this song is remixed in the GBA version. The rest of the story. Last month's review of DKC3 introduced you to the characters and provided strategies and maps for the first 2 worlds. This month you get the rest of the story, plus tips for finding the toughest bonus and DK coins in the game's final 5 areas. You'll also find cool clues for dealing with the baddies inside the KAOS Court. But that's not all. Rumors persist of a legendary place called the Lost World of Krematoa. Nintendo Power is the only magazine with the inside scoop. Yo... This is just going to be my thumbnail for this YouTube video is just going to be like a cutout of right here where it says the pitfalls of writing on the Kremling cutting edge. That's my life, you know. I have to be the world's foremost Kremling journalist, and that includes waiting for more Kremling news at this point in the future. So you gotta stay on the cutting edge. It gets a little chaotic out there. Yeah, we subscribed to Nintendo Force back in its early days as well. I think it's still going. So, last month's Donkey Kong Country 3 review gave you exclusive tips for the first half of the game. Okay, first of all, it was not the first half of the game. Like, you literally said it was just like the first 2 worlds, and then you got 5 more to go, so... since that time, Rare's game developers have made a few modifications to the software. Okay, yeah, so it was Rare that switched them. Oh my goodness, I didn't expect to actually get a follow-up to this. Wow, alright. That is crazy. What's especially interesting is they must have done that, like, really last minute, because that was the November issue, and the game came out at the end of November, so, like, they sent that info, and the game was pretty much just coming out along with the magazine, and they must have swapped them last minute. Yeah, they actually patched it. They sent out the patch to swap Murky Mill and Squeals on Wheels to everyone's Super Nintendo. That was V1.1 of the game. First of all, Murky Mill found in Murky Forest. Murky Forest is not a thing, so they're still getting things wrong even in their Kremling correction here. Switch is a lucky break since many game players like to collect extra lives in Murky Mill. Now you can do this near the beginning of the game. Does Murky Mill have like a good spot for extra lives? I don't know. I always just went to like the first level and just got there's like a balloon on top of the first little cabin thing. Yeah, I remember they had, like, comics and stuff in there, too. That's neat. I'm glad that, you know, stuff like that still exists. I think we stopped getting it because past a certain point, like, we were running out of, like, shelf space to just store random magazines and stuff. Yeah, they owned up to their well, it wasn't their fault, honestly. It was Rare changing things at the last minute, so they were like, you know, excuse us, when you played the game, I just want you to know that it wasn't our fault, okay? Rare changed this last minute. We were not wrong, okay? So, Mechanos. After Dixie and Kitty broke out of the gooey webs in Eric's ambush, they found a patch to seal the hole in Funky Kong's hovercraft. Now we can use the hovercraft to glide across the rocks and sail to the Kremling factories and the island of Mechanos. After you clean up this toxic waste dump, you'll finally find KAOS the robot. There we go. That's the end of the game, I guess. This album overall has less, like, singing in it, which is good for my purposes. It's a lot more, like, acoustic-y. Also, this is the remix of the one that played earlier when we were just getting ready to start the song. you know, the funny climbing up the tree song, but I really like it. Alright, so here's a little bit on our supreme overlord, KAOS. KAOS the robot is programmed to destroy you. Programmed by who? But you can scramble his circuits until he self-destructs. Stay away from the robot's jet exhaust and wait for the rotating blades to slide out of his side panels. You spring off the sides of the blades, you can leap up and stomp on the robot's head. Cotton Top Cove would be an ideal vacation destination if there weren't so many Kremling creeps running around. I'm telling ya, that is a draw, you know? Stop writing it off. Stop thinking you know what the people want. Yeah. John KAOS, the creator of KAOS. I like KAOS the creation. Maybe there's another one that might be even better too. Thoroughly explore all of the areas around waterfalls. You'll know you found everything when you see the yellow flag on all the flagpoles, and there's an exclamation point after the name of each level. Also, don't forget about the flag being erect instead of flaccid. I like the fireworks noises at the end of this song. That is not someone setting off early 4th of July fireworks outside your house. That is part of the music. Maybe he did. He performed it for Leslie Swan when she was visiting. You know, we know about the Northern Kremisphere, but I guess the Southern Kremisphere is just like Crocodile Isle. I guess that's the implication. First of all, down here it says Ellie can squirt the green zingers out of the way. Sure, they're green zingers now. They already called them buzzes in a previous issue, so we know that's not like a Rare hadn't named them yet sort of thing. Squirt's showdown. Squirt uses a water spout to push away any intruders. I don't need to know about Squirt. K3, welcome to the steeps and deeps of Icy K3, the highest pointed peak in Donkey Kong Country. Few warm-blooded creatures actually brave these winter environs. Be sure to warm your hairy toes. They're all about going to blizzards and showing him your toes, man. No wonder Blizzard gets so, like, pissed off if you refuse to give him, like, take the present to Blue. An avalanche wiped out all the trail to his cabin, but you might find another route somewhere near Lemguin Lunge. Yeah, like, it just looks like they took photos of a CRT or something. I like that they specifically call out the bonus where you get to shoot things. Now you're the Crackshot. Find out what it's like to be a Crackshot Croc. This is one of the coolest bonus games in DKC3. It really is. It's the best one, like, easily. And we've got frickin' Bleak down here. Brash Bear might be the champion swimmer in DKC3, but Bleak the Snowman is the best snowball brawler for 1,000 Arctic miles. Tap up or down on the control pad to adjust your snowball range. Since Dixie is smaller than Kitty, you'll find her easier to control during Bleak's barrages. It's this song. The airy heights of Razor Ridge are enough to quicken the pulse of the most seasoned climbers. These peaks are home to Binny and Bjorn, the undisputed masters of chairlift technology. Unfortunately, Bjorn can't repair the upper ridge chair. If you could find his wrench, he might let you explore the legendary Clifftop Cache Cave. Alright, if they're the most legendary masters of chairlift technology, surely he could figure out some way to fix it that doesn't involve this very specific wrench that he needs. I'm glad they had, like, CRT photography tips. What the hell? Squitter isn't a what? Down here on the Pothole Panic one. Squitter isn't a... Squitter isn't a quitter? Squitter isn't a shitter? Did they just, I don't know, they just forgot to finish that? Fill in the blank? This is where we get the Barbos being female thing from, I guess. Which someone has brought up to me before at some point. It says, Barbos is the mother of all spiny lurchins in the dark waters of Donkey Kong Country. Use on guard's bill to bounce the lurchins back into Barbos' spiny defenses, then poke her in the eye until she sinks into the next chamber. Keep repeating this strategy until Barbos surrenders. That's what I'm talking about. This is the female representation that I crave, is Barbos from DKC3. Exactly, Rifter. Apparently the beetle from Donkey Kong 64 might also be a girl. Like, wow, rare. Thanks. At least we have Dixie, you know? We always have Dixie. She does kind of pop him out. Then again, so does King Zing. Alright, and then we got Chaos Core. Somewhere in the Chaos Core lurks the most menacing mechanical monster in the history of Kong Country. The 5 levels leading to Castle Chaos are some of the toughest stretches of terrain in the entire game. While there's not enough space to delve into each level's devious details, check out the brief strategic summaries listed below. Alright, we got, you know, all of these. I just want to point out the conveyor rope clash. Why does this song seem like it's especially loud for just like a piano song? Take a ride on the chaotic conveyor rope tow, but don't get burned by hanging around too long. Conveyor rope clash is crammed with cruel Kremlings and swarms of ghastly green. Why do they just keep calling him Green Zing? Yo, the Green Zing. The creepy caverns used to be a warehouse filled with barrels of bananas. Is that true? The creepy caverns lore. But now the dusty depository is haunted. Beware of the ghost barrels. Hopping into one could blast you into a bunch of bananas. Or a ton of trouble. Who says lightning won't strike in the same place twice? Something inside Chaos Castle is creating an electrical disturbance in the surrounding forest. I gotta stop streaming soon, I'm like losing my ability to read. Who says lightning won't strike in the same place twice? Something inside Chaos Castle is creating... I think I was tripped up because I expected it to be Castle Chaos, but Chaos Castle is creating an electrical disturbance in the surrounding forest. It's up to you to stay one step ahead of the blistering bolts. See, that's interesting because that causality is like different than I would expect. I kind of assumed that like Castle Chaos and Chaos Core is this area that has just this naturally occurring like storms that happen there a lot, and there's always a lot of lightning, and our good old Baron harnessed that to make chaos or do some other experiments. But here it's positing that it's the other way around. Like the evil science experiments are causing the weather disturbances. It's hard to read these out loud, not only because of all the alliteration, but because, like, something about the way the text is so, like, vertically, you know, there's not many, like, words per line here, so it's a little difficult to, like, know what's coming up next. An army of coin dozers has orders to stop the Kongs. If a coin dozer sees you, he'll charge and push you off a cliff with his shield. Jump up on top of the coin dozer's shield before he has a chance to push you around. I like what they did for Poisonous Pipeline here. It says... Eragstrakavs Sknidrevi. Everything's backwards here. The toxic liquid inside the poisonous pipeline reverses your control pad, making everything right go left and what's left go totally wrong. Take your time and you won't get too confused. Then, of course, the Lost World of Krematoa. You don't want to spoil all the surprises about the Lost World of Krematoa, but Blunderbear and Bafflebear will blab all the clues on how to find this secret place. The Lost... They don't just call it Krematoa, ever. It's always the Lost World of Krematoa. It's rumored to have the roughest and the toughest levels in the game. And then, yeah, here's all the totals of the... I mean, you can get infinite bear coins, but I guess it maxes out at 99, so... There's only 15 banana birds. I don't know. For me, it always seems like there's more than that. It just seems like there's so many. But yeah, they really went through all of the coverage of this game without spoiling the twist at the end. They don't even talk about the real final boss. You know, not even a hint of it. This was truly the original K. Rool is not in this game twist, in case you wondered. Yeah, we looked at this issue only for this specific Donkey Kong Land 2 small tip here. Dang, look at this Mario Kart 64 goodness. You see the Japanese names on the player select screen over there? You got Kinopio and Koopa. And D-Kong. Oh yeah, this is the intimate water gear picture. Alright, we're back to Bazooka over here. So, you know, that is our coverage of Donkey Kong Country 3, you know, one of the SNES's swan songs. It's Leslie Swan songs. And, you know, it's cool how there was, like, this balance of coverage of, I guess they had sort of phased out talking about Virtual Boy stuff by this time, but there was still this balance of promotion of, like, the new Super Nintendo games coming out, along with the Nintendo 64 games, and this is slightly before the Pokemon era, too. I mean, obviously there's still Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games and whatever coming out as well, but I feel like you don't really get quite as much coverage of them in this era, but, like, you know, there's still some. But man, Pokemon is about to rock the world soon. We're not there yet. Yeah. It's funny because I didn't have a Game Boy before Pokemon came out, and the only games I ever had on my Game Boy Color were Pokemon games. Like, that's all I needed. I had Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Silver, and Pokemon Pinball, and I never asked for anything else. I didn't want anything else. That was enough to keep me occupied. I'm sure when my parents bought me that console, they were like, oh, here's some, or handhelds, you know, they were like, oh, here's another thing we're gonna have to keep buying games for to keep her and her brother entertained, but it turns out that we just didn't really need anything aside from Pokemon. We were just, like, completely satisfied with that, so hey, they got to save a bit of money in the end. Didn't have to, that was not quite as much of an investment as they were counting on, probably. Pokemon, you know, the GBC was just entirely the Pokemon system for us. Alright, well, I think I'm done for the day because I'm starting to get a little, like I said, losing my ability to talk and also, getting a bit hungry, so I ran out of my banana juice too. Dang it. So next time we'll look at the player's guide, which does spoil the ending, by the way. It's a player's guide. They kind of have to. They kind of have to talk about the actual final boss. But I think we'll have to do something else next time too, because I don't think the player's guide on its own is going to make for like a full stream length. It might just take like a couple hours to look through that. And there's some other like odds and ends about this game that I wanted to maybe look at. Like, I do want to keep the real world references stream until after we've done Land 3 as well, because there's a lot of different ones in that game, and so it'd make more sense to combine them. But I had some other ideas of stuff I wanted to talk about regarding Donkey Kong Country 3 specifically. It's not as easy because, like I said, there's not a novelization to go along with this one. There really weren't a lot of, like, official comics or anything like that, but I had a couple other ideas of things I wanted to look at, so I'll scrounge some stuff up for next weekend. It'll be the player's guide and some assorted DKC3 odds and ends, I think. But yeah, it was fun. It's always fun looking at these, and today was a good time as always. But one more stream of like supplementary DKC3 stuff, and then it'll be on to Donkey Kong Land 3. And then after that, oh boy, it's Diddy Kong Racing. That's gonna be a huge ordeal for me because I am not good at Diddy Kong Racing. But we're gonna head into the N64 era soon ourselves. We're gonna, you know, much like Nintendo, we have to let go of the Super Nintendo eventually and stop clinging to it and enter the new 3D era. God, I have been already, you know, it's because I did the DK64 conversation and everything because I replayed it recently. But I am looking forward to the DKC2 part of this so, I mean, why did I say DKC2? I'm looking forward to the DK64 part of this so much. Like, I am so hyped about it. I cannot wait to go into, like, super specific detail. It was so hard to, like, do the replay on the Switch and want to talk about, like, really random-ass lore theories and details and stuff and try to hold myself back because I want to save it. Rifter! Yeah, we're gonna have to, when there's, like, a pig directly involved in a game, we're gonna have to, like, not have that word be blocked because it's gonna come up and it's gonna be relevant, but I believe it is after DK64. I think the next order of business is Diddy Kong Racing, DK64, and then DKC GB, GBC. And then after that it gets a little murky because weird stuff starts happening and I have to, like, figure out the exact timeline of stuff. We've got Super Smash Bros. Melee, which I have to play at least a little bit of. And then we've got Donkey Konga happening at some point. Speaking of which, by the way, I'm just gonna, here, I will allow this one. Donkey Konga, I have to get some bongos, and I'm honestly thinking of maybe, like, doing a little, some kind of stream where I, some kind of subathon or, like, something. Maybe, if you enjoy my content, maybe you can help me get the Donkey Kong bongos, because they're, you know, an expense I would have to do just for this, like, one stream, basically, because I'm probably not going to use them very much outside of that. I don't own the bongos. I never have owned the bongos. Last time I borrowed them from a friend, but I don't want to have to do that again. I would rather just own some for myself. It's finally time, probably, for me to get them. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to 100% Super Smash Bros. Melee just because there's claptraps in the frickin', like, Jungle Jape stage or whatever it is. Anyway, I'm tired. Next weekend, more of this kind of thing. And then, Donkey Kong Land 3, and then the N64. And we'll figure out what I'll do about the bongos, eventually.